So we'll call to order the regular meeting of the Rutland Town Select Board. This is November 19th, 2024. We have Kurt Hathaway, Joe DiNardo, Mary Ashcroft, Matt Getty. Sharon Russell is slightly under the weather. She had her flu and COVID shots, so she's not going to be joining us. We'll miss her. And please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Approval of the Select Board minutes for November 4th. They're in your packet.
Move to approve.
Motion's been made to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded. Additions, deletions, corrections? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that's 4 in favor, no abstentions. And I'm signing and passing them around. Okay, next. Board member announcements. Are there any? Nope. Update from the Select Board Chair. The only one that I wanted to mention, what I did off the record, so I'll repeat it here. As you're building your budgets, department heads and Select Board members, please remember that the payroll tax, which the town is now picking up to cover childcare costs, has to be added. It wasn't in our previous budgets. This is a new thing. So just make sure it's some figures in there for that. Yep. That's all I got. We have, are there any questions from the floor or public comment? Looking in the room and there's none. I'm looking up on the screen and there's none, so we'll move along. Taking things slightly out of order, does the Select Board have any objection to hearing from folks from Cedar, action item A? Okay, come on up. Welcome.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you going out of order. That way.
Oh, no.
We come to you once a year, you know, about this time. Yes, it has to do with money.
Thank you.
But it has to do also with the success we believe we're having with your support and the town support. Now, this is about the Regional Marketing Initiative. Our goal, as it was 8 years ago when we came here at about this exact time, is to try and bring more people to the county. First question people are asking now is, where are you going to house them? Well, that's a separate committee and we're working on that as well. And there's a lot of action going on that, which is great. But we are here. Olivia Bucksbaum and I, Olivia is our communications and marketing manager, and she oversees the Regional Marketing Initiative, which has built within it the concierge program. She can talk to you a little bit about that, answer any questions you have. We don't want to be repetitive because I think all 4 of you have heard this before a couple different times. But we do want to come to you every year to make sure you know how successful we believe the program is being, and it's because we get a lot of contributions from a lot of different people and a lot of different organizations. About 30% of the funding that goes into this, which ranges between $120,000 to $140,000 a year that we spend, about 30% of that comes from the towns. We've been to Rutland, we're in Rutland Town now. We've been to Rutland City, to Killington, to Fairhaven. We went to Danby. We're going to Middletown Springs. There are about 10 different communities that have been very supportive of this. And then businesses provide support. And all the names are names you would recognize, from the hospital to Casella, all recognizing they need professional staff. And if they can't find that staff here, they need our help to try and reach out and find that staff. And that's where Olivia comes in. And so she has put together a packet for you to take a look at. She'd like to quickly walk you through that, see if you've got questions, and then you can kick us out if that's what you would prefer to do. So.
Yes.
So in addition to attracting people here, one of the ways that we're doing that is through a weekend getaway. So we basically offer an all-inclusive weekend to 5 families. We advertise across the country on social media and through Google ads. And then once our 5 families come here, they're really here with a focus on relocating. So they meet with realtors, they check out schools, my goodness, what are the other big ones? They do a scavenger hunt. I guess that's the big one that I want to talk about. And that is bringing them to every single town within Rutland County. I think all of our families this year ended up going to the Hathaway farm, and most of them went through the corn maze.
They all come out.
And
That's
not-
how we keep them.
We'll never tell.
yes.
That's the goal. Well, the exciting part was they went at night and
Mhm.
they said going at night is like the coolest thing around.
One of them brought little kids at night too. I was like, you are bold. You're ready for Vermont. So that's one of our big things that we love promoting and talking about. Right underneath that is a concierge program fact sheet. So this is really by the numbers if you're into data, and it tells you all about how many people have moved here since 2021. As of October 18th, we've had 218 people relocate to Rutland County through our program. Of course, there are others that are moving here that we don't know about, but this is specifically who we have helped. And on the back side of this, it has occupations and industries of the new residents. So as Lyle said, Rutland Regional Medical Center, we have the Forest Service, Casella, Killington, GE. We've had Rutland City Schools, teachers, and then our list of sponsors is also here as well. On this last page right here, this is just showing how important it is for us to put money behind some of our campaigns. So the blue is from June when we were not spending money on campaigns. And in July, the green bars, that was when we were running the Real Rutland weekend getaway campaign. And as you can see, our numbers for page views increased by 412%. So it works. It brings people to our pages and they then get the knowledge about Rutland County and sign up and learn more. And eventually, hopefully, they relocate here. So that is that.
We have a number of concierge volunteers. You want to talk about that?
So we have over 30 concierge volunteers who live, work, and play here in Rutland County. And they are our special secret sauce that when Carly meets with someone who is interested in relocating here, she finds out that one of them's a teacher, one of them's a nurse. They both have 2 kids and they love rock climbing. And she then connects them with a concierge volunteer who is also a nurse and has 2 kids about the same age and loves rock climbing. So then they have a friend when they visit here, when they move here, when they're just talking to someone to see what it's really like to move here.
So each year we come to you and say, would you allow us to go on your ballot for basically about $1 a person? In the past, that's been $4,094. Mary reminds me, as long as it doesn't go up, that maybe we can get it on the ballot.
You can't go up more than, is it 5 or 10% without, yeah.
We would request the same amount, a level fund. We're finding success with the amount of money that we're putting into it right now without needing to raise that. The town has been very supportive. Couldn't do it without you. Rutland City puts in $16,000, couldn't do it without them. And then our businesses are doing a great job in helping support the process. If you were to say, what does Cedar do at the end of the day? Every one of our committees is working towards getting more people here. And we need talented people to come in. Nobody else in this room is getting older, but I'm getting older and we need people to replace people like me. We still are an aging county and we need to continue to work on that. There's some other things in this packet as well. There's our annual meeting. Our annual meeting brochure here that we've passed out during our annual meeting. And then there's a piece that's by the numbers, which is also in the annual report. People do like data, and this over the last 2 years is funding that we've worked hard and supported others in bringing funding to Rutland County. And just some statistics to roll around and talk about.
We'll say the state of Vermont has created the GROW program, and they've basically based it off of our Real Rutland program, and often call up myself and Carly, the concierge coordinator, and say, how do you do this? Because we want to teach this to other people throughout the entire state. So we're trailblazers.
And we've been at it for 8 years. And that's why they call Olivia and they say, how do you figure this out? And they'll look at our website and say, how long did this take you to get to this point? And Olivia will say 8 years. So don't think this is something that just happens overnight. And like marketing, I think some people think marketing is sometimes like throwing money away. But I think what Olivia showed you was when we spend money in a certain way, we're getting in front of people. 800,000 people she got in front of with this last campaign for the weekend getaway. And now we have email addresses. Now we can continue to talk to them. And it's interesting, a family just moved here and Carly's been talking to them for 2 years. And so sometimes it just takes a little bit of time. It's relationship building, and that's the secret sauce.
And that couple is now on our marketing committee. They're on events committees, real estate committee. They're really devoted to the community and want to help out and give back because they receive so many services from us.
They got here and they said, well, do you think there are any boards or things we could be on? I said, slow down. Don't even say that out loud. So.
But join ours.
Exactly.
The music community, we have enormous focus on the arts in Rutland County that really is underground and people don't hear about it. That I'm hoping you can plug that a little bit, because there are people who are musicians as a sidelight. They might be teachers or they might be, physicians, but they might also be in the music scene. So hope you promote that too.
Somehow that is also out because people reach out to us and say, I know there's a big artist community here. Can you help me connect?
Good.
And
Okay.
I know you
Yes.
put together a blog that talked about all the summer music things that were going on.
Mhm.
Somehow either people have talked to each other, or it fell into place, because Fairhaven does Thursdays and Killington does a different day. And it just seems like you could go anywhere in the summertime and find outdoor music.
Good. Questions, comments?
So your data shows us how many people moving here.
Mhm.
You have a way of telling how many left? I'm just curious how the population for Rutland County, if it's going forward or we're going backwards.
It seems to be going forward. There are some people that leave for whatever reason. But as far as we know, most people are staying here.
And one of the things that Olivia is working on, the other half of this, is retention.
Mhm.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So obviously, if part of your family is not happy here, you're going to move back to where you came from or elsewhere. So we are working on doing more meet and greets and connecting people to the community so that they can meet others and learn more about that artists and music community that's here that they may not have learned about at work, because it's not all similar minded people there. And really just making sure that people find their place, that they see themselves and flourish and want to stay.
You have one coming up.
Yes, we have one on December 5th at the Mint Maker Space, and people will be able to come, bring their families, bring their kids and drop them off at the junior mint, and then go be adults with other adults and learn how to make stained glass mittens. We have mosaic coasters, copper bells, and then the kids also have activities to do, because we've also found that it's kind of awkward just standing around saying, hey, where'd you move here from? But if you're sitting there and you're soldering together and learning something, it's easier to have a more casual conversation.
Yes, sir.
A slightly different vein, but it seems that every time we read about a new business opening or a new thing being constructed, there's some commentary that runs in a couple of consistent lines. One is, this thing should be something else, and this can't be supported without more manufacturing in the community. I'm just wondering, it's had me thinking, do you have any data on like historical number of manufacturing jobs in town? It strikes me that yes, there are a number of employers that no longer exist, but we also have some now that didn't used to exist or have grown over time. And it just seems like if that sort of data existed, it might be useful to communicate that to people, is what actually is the manufacturing base. I mean, I think there are some businesses in this community that a lot of people have never heard of. They don't drive by them every day, you know, they're tucked away on Quality Lane or wherever. And, you know, people just don't even know some of the stuff that's out there.
The data will show that we have fewer jobs, but the jobs that are in manufacturing are more high paying, and they are smaller, and they are hidden. And so there are many that like Kalo Technologies has vastly grown, and they do some really interesting things. When you go through the plant, it's like, oh, that's happening here. So there are many of those smaller 10 to 50 employees that you just don't see when you're driving by. If you look at Hirschman Windows and Doors, they own the glass making company down here now. It's a companion company that you wouldn't even know about when you drive by the Wilk plant down here. They're in a small manufacturing facility, but there's some very interesting stuff going on in our community. And one of the things I think that you're suggesting, correct me if I'm wrong, is we need to call that out and make sure people know about that.
I would like to know more about it myself.
Yeah.
Well, and that's marketing to locals is so important, because then you can better market it to people elsewhere too.
Well, yeah, we need to, yes, exactly. It's both. Sometimes we just need to market ourselves to ourselves.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of naysaying that goes on, and you know, I think some of that, you know, is maybe perfectly well intentioned about, you know, we don't have this or that business anymore, but there are a lot of them that, like Kalo's one that certainly comes to mind, that people just may not even be aware is there.
It is interesting. Our narrative about us is different than the narrative about other people. You just went to Boston over the weekend, and you want to describe that event?
So I went to the Boston Snowbound Expo, and it was a bunch of skiers and snowboarders. And there were so many people who came up to the table and said, "I love Rutland." And I was like, okay, awesome. And there were other people also who say, "I ski, I ride up in Killington. Oh, I didn't know Rutland was so close. I've never heard of it," which sad they haven't heard of us, but also good they haven't heard the negative things. So it was very interesting, and we're definitely on the map for people.
We have an employee who used to live in New York. He went down there. He has an apartment down there still, and he spent about 2 weeks down there. And he said he couldn't wait to get back up here, and just because of the pace of life. So it's different.
Would you like to recycle some old folders?
Sure. From last year and the year
Time
before.
capsules.
I'll let you keep that historical
if our
data,
data
and then I
went
can
up.
ask you about it when you come back.
And I would be remiss, and this is a completely different topic. And I'm not trying to shut down questions about this, but I didn't want to forget that I did speak with Joe Anthony this week. And I said, what would you like me to tell the select board? Because I'm sure they're interested in what's going on with the Super Walmart. And he said, make sure they know that the progress is on track. That if there are any substantial milestones that he meets along the way, he will come and he will update you on those milestones. So maybe you've already been in contact with him, but
No, but I would expect that would be as those smaller permits fall into place to feed into the Act 50. We'll be hearing about those. Yeah.
he was very upbeat.
Good.
But he always is, so.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Hard to be in that business if you're not.
Carrie can correct me about the process, but you do have to make a request by a certain time to go on the ballot, and you have to get, oh, there it is, get your report to Bill, so it could also be printed in the town report. And that's there too. Okay, you're covered.
Not his first try.
I was rather presumptuous and said that Bill could rip those up if you decided you did not want us to go forward.
We're good.
Great.
Good. Well, thank you for your good work.
And thank you for your support. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
and I don't know if you saw in the statistics, but is it 80% or more of those that move here, move to Rutland Town and Rutland City?
Yes.
So your support pays off.
Good, good, good.
Anything
Okay,
else?
no, we just got to build homes for them.
That's the other committee. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for coming in.
Will it be insulting if we go home?
No,
Please do. Run fast.
what's the saying? You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah.
But I want to go home.
Yeah. Yeah. You could stay here. I don't suggest it.
You never know.
All right.
Thank
Good
Yeah, good
night.
night.
Take care, folks. Mike Rowe, Town Rec Director. And Mike, our condolences on the loss of your dad.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
And
Appreciate
thank you
that.
for being here, but take the time you need.
Oh, I will. Don't have much. Basketball is starting the Wednesday after Thanksgiving. We have our coaches meeting tomorrow for rec. Everything's buttoned up. We had our budget meeting yesterday, so we have a draft that Bill has now already copied on, and you all have. I don't know how much further you want to go with that. I know we're meeting on the 10th for that, for our budget time. Bill had to ask that. I hate to say this, but if I am not first or second, because I have to attend the school board meeting, and I don't know how long they'll keep me there.
Want to be first or second?
No, I can't be. So you can put me later.
The record show, Mike.
I did say
Okay.
I have to go to that meeting. So,
After we spent all the money, then he can go.
Yeah.
and then the other thing we had talked about, if Matt, you want to talk about what else we talked about as far as the depreciation part, or
Appreciation. Well, Mike's raised the issue. He's raised it in the past. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, about increasing the rate on the rec depreciation, which would require town vote, I believe. So, and specifically, he's thinking it would be good if, at least for the coming few years, that it be increased to match whatever the rate is that the fire department has. Reason being the anticipation of the need to completely replace the pool in the not too distant future. Won't be next year, won't be the year after that, but could be 5 years out that we need to do that. And there's some money put away for that, but nowhere near enough. So if we can squirrel away some more before then, that will reduce the amount that we have to borrow later. Obviously, there's, we talked about the fact that, there's a little bit of a timing element to this. I mean, if we collect more money in advance, we can earn interest on our money rather than pay it on money borrowed subsequently. But it's obviously it's not without cost to the voters if they vote to approve an increase. At this point, that fire station bonds haven't yet hit the tax rate, but I think all things considered, planning for something we know we're going to want to do and try to spread out the cost as much as possible, that it would be helpful if we started getting ahead of it now.
Do you know how much you're thinking?
you mean as far as
Adding,
the adding? So right now, Carrie did some quick numbers, and thank you, Carrie, for that. Was about 50,000 that it would to be equal to what the fire department is compared to what we bring in now.
50,000 increase from
Right,
what
a
it is now,
$50,000
which is-
increase that would match what the fire department currently gets with their depreciation
well,
number.
we usually do it by a rate and it's at,
Right, so we are, so
0.5%.
yes, I apologize. So
okay,
I'm gonna mess this up, and that's why I called, like, we are at 0.0125
Mhm.
and the fire is 0.0175. So it'd be a, yeah, okay,
okay.
so
Yeah,
I didn't know that, because I was
Not
reading from
here,
the book and
different
it's
meeting.
like 0.75, and I'm like, oh, 0.75, that's, and the
About a
fire was
penny and 3/4,
1.75.
And you guys are at 3/4, it's 1
Penny,
1/4.
1 1/4.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was just the thought in prepping for the inevitable, and just getting ahead of the game.
So
Rather
Because we,
than-
we
half a
bumped it up
penny.
for the, specifically
penny.
for the pool, what, 3
We
years
did
ago?
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
2022,
But
What year?
2022.
yeah,
22, so
So-
3 years.
So we've got around 400,000
in the
earmarked for
depreciation
that
fund right now.
now, but you know, you're talking about something that's
One of the things that I
The-
will tell you, this request is going to be repeated.
for this
depreciation.
department or
No,
somebody
for all-
else?
For all departments.
Okay,
Highway's gonna be looking, fire's probably gonna be looking, because things are just getting out, it's just going nuts, you know? When we, so anyway, I'll give you that spiel when we have a
Okay.
stage. part.
So that might not be a bad, I'm not gonna speak out of turn. I hope I'm not, but maybe if we're all in the kind of the same boat, that it's like we do that together. Rather than, I don't know,
I
I'm
think
just,
we'll
I'm
have
just
to do a
asking.
separate item for each.
You do,
one,
you
separate
correct, you
ballot,
do.
Because, you know, the thing that I would really like to do, and we talked with Bill about this a little bit, the wording is slightly different on each ballot. And we need to, I think, standardize the wording.
be a good idea.
I think one we read said something about what, maintenance and something, but you can't replace, it actually sounded like you couldn't replace the equipment. It's
Yeah.
like, well, that's not gonna work. So the,
Minutes for the rec committee meeting on your desk.
yeah, the original fire department request for these, when they brought it up in 04 or 05, when we bumped it up, or whenever we did it last, kind of is the better wording, and we want to make sure we kind of keep them, because I think you're going to hear from, I know you're going to hear from highway,
Mhm.
you're going to hear from probably fire, I would think in.
You're now hearing from rec.
Right, you know,
Okay.
because it's just stuff is getting so darned expensive, and we are expanding what we're doing for each,
We
for
are,
the town. You know, we've expanded the fire, we've expanded the highway, and we've expanded what you're doing. And you got great big hole in the ground up there that's wicked expensive.
it is very expensive. And like we've said, we just wanna, when it comes to that point, ease the burden of what it's going to cost to replace such a wonderful spot.
Right.
And
Well, the
this is
inevitable
one,
is
this
there,
is
Mike,
one way that, you know,
we're gonna spend the money.
I know.
And my personal feeling, and it's always been, is I would rather take a little bit out now and buy what we need without paying interest if we have to borrow. Because the taxpayers are gonna pay this amount for this facility. And we can either buy more facility and not have to pay interest, or you have to borrow money and pay interest. So it hurts a little now, but it hurts less in the long run.
That's, I just
And-
want to
and
be put
that's-
on that
yeah.
radar so that we don't,
That
we don't
leads
forget
me
that.
to the question of, we've got the 10th of December as our budget meeting. Do we want to try and do depreciation the same night, or do we want to do it a separate? Because if we have several requests and we've got the department head in here, we could just move to the
We,
same.
if we approve them, or we approve to put them on the ballot. And then the voters are gonna decide in March, and then we'll just come up with a wording, and that's the time for the departments to bring to the board what they're asking.
So that any depreciation request should
'Cause
be
it's-
in by the 10th and
Right.
before the 10th, so we know it's coming.
That's the final budget night, and then isn't
That's
there,
gonna make it slightly longer, but
it's gotta be done.
yeah,
And because we are also challenged with having these worded and ready for the ballot by
Yeah.
a certain time too. So the sooner we get onto it.
So you do have minutes on the desk.
Okay,
You know, the
recreation.
meeting essentially was about the budget, so I don't know if you want me to go into any more detail on that or save it till the 10th. There is, on the depreciation, I see the minutes did say currently it was 0.0075, which we now checked
that was wrong.
to determine that's not correct, but
Just as long
Yes.
as it's correct, Mike, on the ballot.
Yes,
Because
we don't
one
want to be
year
like
we
the
were
police
gonna raise,
department.
we were gonna raise what,
We-
1 point?
We raised $25 for the police department.
One year.
slightly
and-
more than that, but not by
Not
much.
Yeah. And then wasn't it
Decimal
one
point
time we
makes a
did it,
whole
was gonna be the
difference.
other way?
Yeah.
Was gonna be like 1,000,000?
Yeah, it seemed a little extreme.
Yeah, so we've been on both ends of this,
Yeah, so we need to be accurate.
where the decimal points go and how
Yeah,
many
right.
zeros.
Okay, so we'll plan on doing that. We need to get the word out to our departments too. Okay, any questions Oh, I did have one, actually, speaking of future planning. When do we start the process of engineering for a new pool?
We talked about that last night. Like I've said for publicly and private, well, privately mostly, is that I really want the fire station and the dust to settle before I start talking about that. I just do, because I think that's only fair. Knowing that, you know, you're 5 years out is my, just being there for, this is my 22nd year with that lovely hole in the ground. And it's a wonderful hole in the ground, but
Yes.
it's now becoming a hole in the ground. That being said, I think this time next year, we should need to really start thinking of a scoping study and all that, and getting an idea of, okay, this is what it would cost, you know, obviously right now, because that's what they're going to tell you. And nothing's getting cheaper. So I would, next year, that's when we would have this serious discussion in my mind, because I really want the fire station to settle and people, you know what I mean? I don't want to add more. I don't want to convolute things when
Okay,
people are
See
talking.
that time
I
when
don't
you
think that's
start
right.
entertaining maybe a designs, a different design for a pool. I don't know
Yes.
if you've been,
I have one in my head.
okay,
Um,
because I have been approached a couple of times about like a pool that has like a tapered, so it's not, it's a.
so just a quick, and then I'll go. My envision is a U-shaped with a 0 entry.
Right.
So there's no kiddie pool. It's just a big 0 entry. So you walk in and then it gets deeper and as you go. I've
Good
seen
for
a couple
little kids.
pools like that. No frills, just a nice pool like we have right now. But yes, a 0 entry so people can literally walk in and then
I
go
think my
deeper. or
grandson
whatever.
is interested in that type of pool.
So that is there.
Well,
That is
that
one of the.
Huh.
That is one of the
Oh, he's 4
ideas.
years old, but he already knows what he wants.
Oh,
But that will be up to the committee and all that.
Right.
To go through all that. But yes, that would be it.
Are there, so since we've never built a pool, and you'll have a year or so to think about and look and get some information, but I'm guessing there are companies out there that specialize either in design builds or whatever.
And they're south.
So,
They're in the south. And I'll start to explore. I'll go to the city first because they just went through this a couple of years ago.
Right.
And they know exactly who's where or who builds what. And then that'll be my first step, is meet with Kim, and she's already graciously
really
offered
need
to help me
somebody
out.
that's really well aware of how living in Vermont where it gets below 0 a couple times a winter, how that affects construction and design.
Correct.
I wonder if that plays some part in this pool, that it might not have been quite what it should have been for this environment. You would hope so, but
The
technology.
70s and the 80s were wonderful, Joe. I lived them as a young lad, but things were a lot
Well, but
different.
the technology in
Yes.
building and construction is so many advances now, so that you wanna,
Correct.
Yeah.
But next year at this time is when we'll start to have those discussions,
Okay.
just so we know we're all kind of on
Yeah.
the same page.
all right,
Really
that
want
makes
this one to be
sense.
settled and everybody gets in it, and then we can start talking about what I feel is like the last major infrastructure in our town that's expensive. I mean, you can tell me another $2 or $3 million project for government that we need. I don't know other than the pool.
Probably water systems, but that's
I
another
think,
whole.
I think that'll
Yeah.
be the
But
next one.
but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where we've kind of gone through that gamut of fixing everything we need to fix. So.
Yep.
And that's
Maybe
appreciated.
there's some recreation grants out there to help build a pool.
Yeah,
And that's part of, we had talked about that last night as well, as far as me moving up in the position that I'll have more time to.
Well, that highway, this whole
I
thing
know
with the
that.
sidewalk.
Yep.
If you want the money, you've got to go through the steps, but our end cost is significantly less to do what they ask you to do.
Correct.
So,
That it's up there. It's been out, so we're on the same page, which is great. So
good.
other than that, senior luncheon
Thursday.
Thursday, 11:30, Bill,
11:30.
fire station. I'm gonna be there like 10:30. Can you let me in?
I can't stay.
Well, I'm okay. I'm just gonna go across the Maple Angus and get our food. And then we'll feed at 11:30. There's no frills on this one. Well, I mean, it's a turkey dinner,
Yeah,
but there's no band but we're meeting at the fire station. So if you could let me in, that would be great.
it was, when we did do the band one year, it was
We did it a
Wow.
couple years. It was a
We
lot of
did.
fun
It was fun, but it was loud. Yeah.
and it was crowded
Yes,
because they
very
took up a
crowded.
lot of space.
Yeah.
So, but we have 50 people.
Good. I did sign up, didn't I?
You did.
Thank
You were
you.
one of the first.
Thank
Yep.
you.
You're good. Joe, I didn't see your name there, but that's okay. You're more than welcome to Johnny come
It's not
lately if you
because I
want.
don't wanna go, it's because I don't
You're
take
fine.
time off to do anything.
I know, but you're
Yeah,
fine.
And we have a committee meeting that.
Yeah, we got a
Oh,
committee
yeah.
meeting.
Alright, I'm just saying, it's Thursday at 11:30 at the fire
No, I
station.
qualify,
You can bring
I
us
know you
leftovers.
Just wanted to remind you, do. I mean, I qualify too, and so does Dave. So if you want to
Yeah.
sneak out to go to the bathroom for a few minutes, you know.
You can bring us leftovers. We'll
Kurt,
probably
no,
still
you
be
don't
here.
qualify. You don't qualify.
We'll probably still be here.
But that's all I have.
Okay. Anything else for Mike? Okay.
You can stop mowing the grass.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
All right. Dave Sears, Town Road Commissioner.
Hello again.
Hi.
Not a whole lot on the agenda. We did fill our salt shed,
I saw the bills.
662 tons. Yes, we're ready.
Fabulous.
Then how much can you buy if we need to, how much did we buy, or do we allocate?
That was
funds?
about half.
That's about half.
About half.
Okay. If you don't use any, that's okay.
Yep.
Because that means we're not gonna have a lot of winter.
Yep, I'm all good with that.
I think we're gonna use some next week.
They are so all over me when I say anything.
Well, it's, when I looked at that
Because I
forecast,
dread it just as much as they do.
it's like, okay, so if you look at next week, what is the worst day to have crappy weather?
Oh, the Wednesday before, Wednesday evening.
Wednesday would be the worst.
Wednesday or
Wednesday,
Thursday?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, Thursday for these guys, because they're all gonna be gone.
yeah.
Mm,
And that will, and when I looked at that longer forecast, it's like crap.
It is.
It is, but we'll see.
It's the name of the game.
Anytime somebody,
way it always
anytime
is.
half the country's flying, guaranteed to have a blizzard.
We did, had another hazard mitigation plan meeting the other day. We're almost there. We have, I know Joe probably talked about this in the committee report, but we had another sewer plug down on the south end, down by Days Inn last Friday. Turning into a fairly regular thing.
Are they covering the cost for this? Can they be covering the costs? This is
Well,
ridiculous.
the problem with, this comes from our meeting last Thursday, is we can't point a finger at anybody at this point. So some investigative work is going to be needed. One of our suggestions from our meeting is to go to Denny's. Probably Dave. I've talked to JP and see if he as health officer to maybe go along and see and make sure that the proper stuff is in place for grease traps and stuff. This weekend, Kurt did a little reconnoitering on his own, and he pulled a couple of manhole covers and he looked down in there, and it appears that there are soft drink containers coming from Days Inn. And so it kind of, I've identified where they're coming from. So Days Inn needs a visit. We need to get to the bottom of how they're getting these things into the system.
It's a closed system. And it's not like they have a trash can, they put it in and it goes in the sewer. It's a
Right.
closed system.
Right.
So-
So they're either
know.
trying to force them through toilet traps.
A
or-
28-inch Gatorade bottle. Takes some
Somebody's just
effort to
having
get-
fun
Right.
doing stupid stuff and
Is that what it is?
needs to stop.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
they're either
consistent.
pulling the
Right.
toilets out and dropping these things in, but that's only 3-inch pipe on the most. So I don't know how they're doing this, but this is the stuff that's in there. And so we might as well talk about this because we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
So that sewer line across Route 7 has to be repaired. And I guess we've got to figure out whether we want to jump in with both feet and swim or how, but I think we're going to need to get somebody on board to design a fix.
It's undersized is what it
It's
is.
6 to 4 to 6. We find who does it, designed it. They should be part of the backfill for the new sewer line, but the concerns is how do we get across, I don't know, 100+ feet, 150
Once at
feet,
least, yeah.
on Route 7.
200.
Yeah.
You know, you can't open cut that. They're not gonna probably allow that. So what we're hoping is we authorize Dave to start talking with, if you want to work with Otter Creek. I think they're as good as anybody. maybe there's, we're hoping there's technology out there, directional boring, and they can go across and just put a whole new line, and then we can change a couple of manholes on the ends and make it work. But
Robert Clark is coming on Thursday.
he is coming
Okay.
to our meeting. Perfect.
He's the
You're right on
guy.
top of things, William. I like that. So anyway, we think that this is going to be a recommendation from the
terminate
three
him
of
now?
us. Is, that we move forward with coming up with a design. We're gonna take, the water sewer account's gonna take a pretty big hit on this. I'm gonna throw you a number, 300,000 probably to go a couple hundred feet across the
Anyway.
road. I think boring might be cheaper though. I don't know.
There's either directional bore or you pipe burst it, one or the other. I'm not sure which way.
I'm not sure if they can pipe burst
from
something,
6
to
to
go to
10.
12-inch or something like that over
What would
6.
you like
That's-
to, well, we're gonna go with the recommendations from the engineer. So it
Right,
Goes across.
right,
If
yeah.
he says it should be 8 or 10, then that's what.
It's
we'll
probably
do.
gonna be directional drill.
Yeah, and I'm thinking bigger is always better.
So I think it's 8 that runs along the front to Taco Bell. Looks like that's 8.
I think it is, yeah.
It's 6. By said 6 that goes all the way under 7 now. So I don't know if that got changed at some point, but it is 6 all the way under there. But it's got, when it comes into that structure in front of Aspen Dental, it's got a double set of 45s and drops about 3 feet. So that's why sometimes it's hard to get the jetter up through there. Instead, they should have popped it through the manhole, but dropped it inside, and they never did. So
Are you suggesting we do something about that too?
that would be part of
That'll all be,
That'll be
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
So, well, I mean, the money is there and it's for this purpose, so,
What we are incredibly lucky is
Oh.
Diamond Run doesn't come this way. It goes with the other one through the 12-inch.
okay.
goes up the railroad.
It goes up the railroad tracks
Oh,
and that
right,
goes,
right,
that
okay.
goes through the other compromised manhole. But at least, because that would be a major problem. So GE and Diamond Run all go the other way. And this is for this little pocket.
So,
What? Go ahead, Chris. Maybe it's not-
but the first problem, which is talking with Days In about that.
Days in and
Who's gonna do that?
Denny's. I don't know.
I can go talk to them. I don't know that they're gonna know. I'm gonna talk to a manager that's not gonna know.
And like I say, if you can coordinate with JP, he'd like to go.
Yep. Okay,
Okay,
I can do that.
Yep, as the health officer.
We should probably send letters to those 3 businesses saying we're finding abstract things in
Yeah,
our manholes.
and we will be visiting.
Yeah, can you keep an eye out and knock it off?
Yeah, I mean, it's just all of a sudden, I think that the car wash has something to do with it just because of the volume that they're putting into this.
But you would think just straight water going through would make it better.
There's something in it because when I was down there Friday with the guys and they were jetting it, they got the jetter hung up underneath 7. So there's something in the line that's not coming out.
can you put a camera through or is it too long?
That was one of the things we were hoping to get done.
If somebody keeps putting big bottles in there, it's probably the same person over and over.
Uh-huh.
Right, so it's
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
a
that's what
long-term
I'm saying. This is
resident
kind
that
of
days in. It's not gonna be
all
that
of a
hard to
sudden,
figure
in
it out.
the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 times we've been down there, we've pulled, energy drink cans out and stuff like that, and then, Gatorade bottle now, and
In order for them
Had
to
'em
get
down
in,
there at the
Dave, right,
beginning of the
there's gotta
week.
be an opening someplace.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had them down there at the beginning of the week and they pulled out some styrofoam and a couple pieces of wood and, so it's all of a sudden, this hasn't happened until now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's odd.
There's no way stuff can be coming from the car wash.
I wouldn't think so. I mean,
No,
they
I popped that manhole at the car wash and that all looked pretty clean.
Yeah.
And I mean, the only other,
I've looked in there too, and it's basically gray water is all that's coming.
yeah, the only other thing it could be is somebody's popping manhole lids and stuff in there, but I mean,
Those are 30-inch lids. Those
yeah,
are
you need a pry bar,
those are 2 guys to get those off.
you need a couple pry bars to get them off, like,
Yeah.
that wouldn't just be a prank.
yeah, like it takes some effort.
Oh, okay, well, thanks for looking into it.
Yep.
And the money's sitting there, so
We gotta get some kind of figure out a permanent good resolution to this issue and get rid of the 45s and the kinks and get it designed so it meets standards to flow, because I don't know if some of that stuff even meets standards for operation.
Yeah, I don't.
Somebody putting it in, well, this will work. We do that at home at the farm, but you can't, when you're out here in the sewer line, we gotta get this right.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably a service at one point in time that went under 7, and then they just started adding as stuff grew, and it's just
1/8 inch per foot.
So the last thing I got is I had to take some time off last week to deal with some family issues. So I had the guys start working on the shared use path on the Chesiana Drive side. So they got the trees cut, and we had Trees Incorporated come in today and grind the stumps for us, and we started graveling that. So we've made it from Chesiana Drive into where the path drops down over the bank. We started filling that today. So while we're in between times where we can't really do construction and we're not plowing every day, we're gonna keep chipping away at this and see if we can put this thing to bed finally.
Excellent. That'd be nice.
The material that you have up there, the pavement ground stuff, can you use that on the path or no?
Otter Creek designed it, and they designed it for sure pack on the top.
Okay,
So that's what I don't see why we couldn't use.
so this Thursday, we'll ask
Robert.
because you have a supply.
Yeah, because the gravel that we have been using, we used 1.5 inch crushed to get in to where we are now. Now we're just filling it with just fill from out back somewhere to fill that big hole in. That's stuff that we had purchased last year for the other end of the path. So we already had that, but we don't have any sure pack. So if we get to that point, we're gonna have to buy it.
Yeah, basing it with 1.5 inch would be good, and then topping it with millings anyway. So
Yeah, if we could use the pavement, save us a little money, and you have it.
Anything else for Dave? Not?
That's
Thank you very much.
all I've got.
Do you want the rest of
Oh, yeah,
the
sorry,
highway
did-
committee? So,
Anything else? in
well, the
highway?
big bugaboo is the post road sidewalk.
Okay.
I think the state's a little picky, but it's it's out of level by 1/4 inch.
Quarter.
Yeah, and they don't want to reimburse us. So for the grant, the 48,000. So the suggestions that were made that you can rip it all up and redo it.
That the state made that suggestion?
Oh, yeah, yep. The other
They're gonna
thing,
pay, never mind.
it's gonna cost, would you say it's gonna cost 50,000+?
I was just back of the napkin figuring 50 grand. They said we could mill a portion of it off and then repave it because we're off like 1/4 inch. So I said, how am I can't get 1/4 inch to stick to anything. And they're like, no, you'd have to mill it off first and then pave it back. But then they're not happy because the sidewalk abuts the pavement, the driving portion of the road. But I needed to do that to get the 5 feet width. So we didn't have to build a retaining wall by the school, by the steep part. So they said, well, there's a thing in the ADA guidelines that you can go down to 4 feet sidewalk for less than 200 feet, 175 feet, whatever it was, which we've got there. So they said we could cut out 1 foot of it, grind off 1.5 inches of it, and then hand pave in the length of it and put in a green belt. Of course, by putting in a green belt, everybody that's dropping off their kids that are double stacked in Post Road right now are double stacked on the sidewalk. So the green belt will never be green unless we paint it.
Because what we've done is we've increased the width of Post Road by 5 feet, so the cars going to the school have 5 more feet of pavement to park on. So for those short
Is there-
intervals that they're picking and delivering, so.
An
the-
appeal,
The grant is a 50% grant. So we're in it for 48,000. So we got to spend 98 to get 46. And we're at the 98. So anything we do from here on just adds to the overall price of the project. And we're not going to get he's like, they said, well, if you grind it, we won't pay for you to grind it, but we'll pay for the extra material. Well, we're already there, so they're not
Yeah.
gonna pay for anything.
We already have, yeah.
So if we do nothing,
This is crazy. Okay,
yeah.
so let's approach it from that way. This is crazy. And there usually is some kind of an appeal for some determination like that. Why don't you just file an appeal and say, this is crazy, it's a quarter of an inch, it's within, I don't know, some kind of standard, it must be. Aren't there deviation standards? that
Then
You got, you know,
they're not gonna let you get away without the green belt.
What's,
But then-
That's
but,
a
you know,
ADA compliance. It either needs to have a curb or green.
so that's
12
the
inch
issue
green
and
belt.
not the quarter inch?
well, could be
That's-
both.
It's all in the same ball of
Yeah.
wax.
So if we want to just forgo the 48,000 and leave it, we've paid for it, everything's done. We're not hawked for anything. We can just say, leave it the way it is and it's ours.
is this, all right, so if it's not ADA compliant, whose fault is that? Was it not designed to be ADA compliant? Was
Yeah,
it
it
just not
was.
installed according to design, or?
I asked the pavers to pave in a little bit of a lip on the roadside to keep the water from running down over the bank and having chase that forever. So that 3/4 of an inch or whatever that is at the roadside might be what throws it out of.
So they're saying
enough.
it's tilting
But
away from the road.
Yeah.
Tilted away from the road.
Seems
Yeah.
like that's what you want.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
The people in the wheelchair have to give it an extra pump every 4 turns on the downhill side, or it's what it is.
yes.
all right.
So we gotta
Better
decide
than
whether we
leaving
wanna, we can file for an extension. Get a year to decide what we're gonna do. And if we decide in a year that we don't wanna do anything, then we did a sidewalk and we paid for it.
God, I hate leaving money on the table.
I do too, but if we're gonna spend more
I
than we're
agree.
gonna get back, then
But no, but this is.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Just like really.
I think there's
stupid.
some miscommunication between the requirements of the grant and what was put down and what we did. I don't know, because if Dave knew that he had to have a green belt in there before he started this to be ADA compliant and get the grant, then we would have moved over and done the foot. You have to move over at least a foot. But it's not, and that's not gonna stay, just like you said. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And then the cost of the project would have been a little bit more because you're gonna have to probably put up some retaining walls. So,
Yes, right.
so where are you?
And the state would have been paying more.
Because
Because
State's
they
only
would be
gonna pay
paying
46,000.
50%.
they're only gonna pay I think the grant was 48 or so.
48.
Yeah. They weren't, so if we spend 125 to do the project, we're still only gonna get 48 back. So I think we filed for the extension. If they deny it, then, well, we are.
Why don't we try as a backup, getting paid for all of the parts of the sidewalk that are in compliance? And then we'll swallow the part that isn't.
Well, I think it all isn't because there's no green belt, right? Yeah. But they didn't, I don't believe there was anything in your operational manual there that you had to have that.
No. No, I mean, Otter Creek designed that also.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Well, we'll run this all by.
Yeah,
Robert
I mean,
on
the-
Thursday. Maybe he'll have.
the
some-
reason we can't end up where we were is because I didn't want to have to put in a retaining wall because then you got to put in a handrail and,
Yes.
you know, all of that stuff. So that just starts to get crazy.
Now we got a $200,000 sidewalk.
Does the grant not specify the requirements? They just not tell you until after you built it what they wanted you to
Not
do?
I never-
Anytime you build a sidewalk with any sort of federal or V-Trans funding, it has to be built to ADA compliance.
So.
Which is why the sidewalk ends at the driveway at Shazana, because there's no way to build ADA compliance up onto Shazana.
Right.
So at that time, Byron was gonna build the sidewalk, and then the next year was gonna build the rest of the sidewalk up around the corner.
And
with
actually-
town funds.
Derek brought that up when we were having our meeting and he said it's not ADA legal fine or whatever he said to leave it at a driveway. And I said, well, we actually have Otter Creek is designing the next phase to go up Chesana. So he said, well, I'll let that one go then. But that's on the list too.
It's hard when you know, you have inclines and you're out here in the boonies trying to build stuff to that standard. It's difficult. And I don't know how they're gonna make that transition.
Well, Otter Creek is doing They haven't done them yet, but they're gonna do borings to see what the ledge is, how hard it is, how deep it is. And because it's gonna have to come out to make that ADA. Or we just
All
do
the way
it
through the hill.
and don't get a grant for it. Then we can do it and it doesn't have to be ADA.
Yeah.
But like they can't make you change topography for a sidewalk. I mean, we put a sidewalk on Grant Avenue in the city that's like this. If the sidewalk was totally disjointed and we tore it all out, put a new sidewalk in, we didn't have to change the slope of the hill. Is what it is.
If we're going for the grant money, then you.
Right.
For there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's gotta be some appellate.
Well,
work.
we'll run this by
Anyway,
Robert on there and at the least we'll apply for the extension. And
That's in the works.
yeah,
Okay,
so-
good.
And we'll see. I think that, and then we've got a situation that's one up on Post Road. The gentleman is called Dave or emailed Dave. He's emailed me. We've gone back and forth, water runs wherever. So he got a hold of the contractor that did the original work. And and he's talked with Dave about this and they're requesting that if we pay, the homeowner is requesting that if we pay for the materials, it's basically a big dry well. They dug a hole in the ground, fill it full of stone. You remember the one up off of Georgiana or up in there? We went and looked at with Byron. The water came
Yeah.
down and went and
Yeah,
they did, and I don't remember that one. We ended up being able to daylight it somewhere and put some cover. So the request is that if the town pays, it might be a 7-yard truckload of stone. He'll hire a private contractor who did the work the last time and do it again. What happens, I think the stone's getting full of silt
Oh,
and dirt.
yeah.
Once he digs it up, we're gonna find out what's there. The other option is to do the same thing, put some kind of something in there and daylight it out behind his house and bypass his driveway and his leach field. But I think that's on
Long
him.
run, that's probably 250, 300
Yeah,
feet. just
but
to
that's
get
on him.
past the leach field.
No, that's behind, that's on him.
Yeah.
That's one way.
But
He's never
so
gonna
if the
do that.
board's okay with that, authorizing Dave to do that. The load of stone,
is that a motion?
yes.
Motion's made to authorize Dave to do a load of stone for Mr. Hulls on Post Road Extension to help solve a water drainage problem in his yard threatening his leach field.
And like I said, we're assuming it's gonna be about.
Seconded, and with the understanding that Mr. Hulls is doing the work, hiring his own contractor, we're just getting the stone.
So is I'm a bit confused about the actual complaint. Is a complaint that the town did something on the road that's causing this problem?
It's just normal runoff. He seems to think it's something. I said, the road hasn't been paved. Nothing's changed. It's just that what was there, it's just not working. In McCurrier excavating, Ricky McCurrier did the work. So he talked to Dave and he's,
Which work?
huh?
Did which work?
The original work where this area is to collect this stormwater that comes off the road. The problem was there before. So they dug a hole in the ground, filled it full of stone and the water goes in the stone and it's Ricky,
the
no,
homeowner.
the homeowner did it.
Why is this now our?
Because the town supplied the material the last time.
Yeah, so we're just doing the same thing again.
Yeah.
We're not paying for the excavator and the digging and the labor. We're just
Okay.
putting the stone because it is an issue where road water is coming off the road and there's no place up there for it to go but down his driveway. The other option is dig across Post Road, put a drop inlet, dig across Post Road and dump it in the field on the other side. Now that landowner over there is going to be upset. So we don't want to do that. That's just gonna add insult to injury.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
So I don't think that's pretty much home. And then the folks from Carmel Place are back on us again about whatever up there. And to tell you the truth, and I think this was kind of a unanimous agreement, we're not all that excited about taking that road over.
And until they,
Yeah.
Is this the one we've been looking?
Oh, yeah,
at?
this has been going round and round and round.
As built.
We don't have anything. So the problem with up there is the water and sewer
Mhm.
belong to the city. They,
belong to.
Huh?
It belongs to the city. They
Yeah.
deeded it to the city.
Yeah.
yes. So the city owns the water and sewer. They did not go through the town sewer contract or anything like that to get that done. They originally did. And then they did a direct line for everything down there. So we take that road over. Somebody's got to we either got to get the sewer back or we're going to own a road that's got city water and sewer under it. And I see nothing but trouble coming from this. They have not been able to meet the requirements of our ordinance that requires certain specifications.
That's right. And this has been going.
Are they
on
coming to the
for-
meeting
They
too?
are coming to the.
Oh, man. So we might be
Years.
coming down to have lunch with you guys at the fire station.
So
Okay.
what's new?
We'll,
Is
you,
there,
we'll
do
hide
they
you in
have
the crowd.
anything new to tell
There's
us about this?
Really
or-
nothing.
So they
No, they-
have their annual meeting.
Uh-huh.
They're actually using this room Thursday, late Thursday, to have their meeting. And they want to talk about it then. So the timing was fortuitous that we're meeting in the morning.
Right.
But we're again experiencing, I have two people coming with separate tracks for the same requests, and so I've invited both of them to come to the meeting so we could talk about it, but we kind of seem to be stuck. And they're stuck with information that they don't want to provide, and legitimately it's a lot of work on their part to get it done, and it's just trying to get over that hurdle of, are you gonna meet the requirements or not? Like, we're not gonna change our requirements.
And we've,
Yeah,
we've held other
Yes.
people, other developments to this standard.
Yeah,
The
they-
other thing with this development that's unique, this is a development.
Hmm.
If we take that road over, that becomes a subdivision. That road belongs to that development.
There's no
Right.
right away.
There's no right of way. So that means
Nothing.
it's
There's
got
no
to be
property
surveyed.
lots. There's no lot.
There's no lots.
There's no
All one
lots.
big
There's
property.
all
It's one big
box.
happy family up there.
So they'd have to get it surveyed
Surveyed
with our right of way and deed the right of way over to the town.
town, which has city water and sewer that's deeded to the city buried under that road.
I
Yeah.
mean, and
This is not
it's-
a good deal.
it's all possible, but they're gonna have to do all the legwork to make this happen.
And there should be
And-
at no expense to the
And
town.
as I remember, there would be drainage and runoff easements required.
We have
as
that
well.
stormwater.
Yeah,
The stormwater portion, because
we already have that.
Yes,
we,
okay.
Part of
we
our
helped them out
MS4.
with that.
Yes, we did.
And that helped us out
Yes, it
with
did.
our MS4 stuff.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if
the
they,
part of me that listens to this is these folks wanted to live in this type of environment when they purchased into this project.
Mhm.
And I know they pay highway tax and all of this, but this was of their choosing. And so now they want to get out of this, but they seem to be unwilling to meet the requirements of the town. And we've made everybody else pretty much stick to the standards.
I mean, it's, they could do the legwork and come into compliance, and when they do, of course, the town should accept that road because they are paying taxes, but until they do that, there's
And we have
nothing else we can do from this side. And I mean,
other people.
whether the
comply.
water or sewer gets deeded over to us or there's a written maintenance agreement between the town and the city, whatever
I
that
think
is.
those hurdles would be easier than getting through
Yeah.
these people.
But whatever that is, that's up to them to figure out.
Yeah.
You know, and they need to figure that all out before we're gonna accept anything.
And all the utilities are buried.
Oh, yes, right.
So,
they are.
so I don't,
Which we've adopted many other neighborhoods that have that, but we need to know where they are.
right,
I mean,
and I don't know
that's
what-
the discussion we've been having for
Right.
what, 12 years?
yeah, I don't
We
know what,
need to know where the stuff
Yeah.
is.
where
under
like,
there.
in the-
GMPs,
in
what their
terms of-
requirements are.
In
Yeah.
terms of GMP probably has all that mapped out. They're normally
do.
pretty good.
Mm.
And in terms of like road base gravel, that I would be willing to let slide because the road's been there. We know that it's still
Yeah,
in
I'm not
decent
worried about
shape.
that.
Road, 'cause
We're not
they-
worried about the road base, but
Everybody
we're
knows.
worried about what's under
If the
it.
road was junk and it wasn't drained properly, that would be heaved, cracked, and it actually looks pretty good for
look good.
its age.
Yeah. And it was a reputable contractor
Yeah,
that did it at
yeah,
the time, but
yeah.
we just need to know where all these utilities are.
Utilities are things, and they have to take the time to put in the 3-rod class 3 road right away.
Yep.
And then that probably, there are sidewalks, right? No sidewalk?
No.
No sidewalk. Okay, good. We're not inheriting any sidewalk. Okay, good. I thought I thought there was a sidewalk around the outside, but okay.
No.
And they also have to know that they're on their own for, the homeowners association pays for all the winter maintenance. But, you know, we'll plow the road and sand it, and that's it, we're out of there. So we'll have I'm sure, an exciting discussion on Thursday.
Thank you guys for
Yeah,
doing
so,
this.
Again,
Again, and so, do we have a list of what they have provided per the ordinance? They did some stuff,
We had a.
because you looked at
we
it,
had
right,
some
Dave?
sort of list of-
yeah, there really wasn't anything in there that matched up with our list. I mean, they
Okay.
gave us a lot of documentation about, you know, who bought the property, when they bought the property. But there was really nothing, there was a survey in there with the property pins for that entire parcel.
Yeah.
But there was nothing in there.
There was
no as-built.
Not the road.
Right, okay.
Had
Right.
the outside perimeter, which is what all they cared about.
And then the prints that they gave us were just plan drawings. There was no,
Yeah.
no sewer stubs, no water. It was just conceptual.
Right.
From the beginning.
Did you folks do a budget or not yet?
Not yet, we're
Okay.
gonna try to work on that Thursday.
Try
if
to
we
fit
can.
that in
That other
sometime
meeting ran a little long.
sometime Thursday when we're ordering in dinner.
Yeah.
All right, anything else for
I
Dave?
think we
or
beat
the highway
that to death
committee?
pretty good.
Okay,
All
thank you
Good.
very much.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. What?
Vote on the gravel.
Oh,
Oh,
the other thing is,
Did we not say aye?
Yeah, we did.
I think we did.
We
had
did,
a unanimous
but one
vote.
other thing we've talked
Aye.
about and is the grindings that Dave has done up to the town and has about the pavement grindings, and we're filling those. So they've come up with a price of $20 a load. And,
Okay, we did talk about this,
all right,
yes.
and so Dave has kind of been selling some off to whatever. Did we put a limit on the number of loads in a calendar year?
I don't believe we did put a limit on it.
I don't know. Do you want to per,
Probably need to come up with a number, yeah.
okay, I was thinking 10 or 20, something 10
Yeah,
up to that.
I need to get back on that, kind of put in the letter that I came up with basically just says, if you want these, you can have them. And once we drop them, they're yours, and don't call us to come get them because we're not.
Right.
But I need to kind of put some more information in there about, you know, we'll get to you, we'll put you on a list and we'll get to you when we get to you. This is mostly rainy day stuff. We're not gonna shut our operation down and bring you stuff.
Probably
to fill
not
in
happening
bottles.
during the winter.
Probably not gonna happen during the winter. So I just need to kind of put that together a
Yeah,
little bit.
and we
a little bit
should,
tighter, but
we should adopt it as a policy so everybody's treated the same.
Yeah.
That's all.
But in the interim, they've been charging $20 a load for the stuff that's been going out. We've done things backwards before.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
So that was-
anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
There'll be more
thanks,
coming
Dave.
next meeting, I'll guarantee you.
Oh, I'm sure. All right, Ed Dumas, Town Police Chief. Okay. We did have a highway committee meeting.
Police committee. Police
Police-
committee.
No.
Yeah, you don't want to rehash
I don't
that.
need a highway committee.
All right, police committee meeting. And we had, and actually this is sort of slides over to John Paul Faignant too, because we took a look at JP's suggestion and at the request of the other select board members on the question of whether the AFIS machine could be purchased, the fingerprinting machine could be purchased using savings in the police budget, because we hadn't filled a couple of positions, one 3 months in and one half a year in. There was way more to it than that. However, because
It's never easy.
it's never easy. But the bottom line, and I'll have Matt explain it because he
Yeah,
was
because
taking
the
crazy
minutes are
notes.
not accurate.
Yeah, okay.
Close enough.
No,
Um,
not close.
So,
A
well,
lot of numbers here.
Yeah,
well,
not the right ones.
there's one other thing we also, so we need to approve that if you so choose. And we also need, there is a request from the police department. They are about to hire a school resource officer who is a level 3 qualified. We had budgeted for a level 2 qualified for the SRO who left. So there is a request for a $5,000 pay bump over the year, which would be half a year's worth for this year, and we'll adjust the budget for next year.
About
So
2,500.
2,500. So those two things, and honest to God, they were, and then there were moving targets on the health insurance to see what we were saving some and we were spending more. So Matt will explain all of this and why we think we can indeed afford to use the vacancy savings in the budget for the APHIS machine.
Well,
Okay,
I
Matt.
probably don't have all the numbers, but, and really you don't need to know all of them. But suffice it to say, there are some vacancy savings from both not having an SRO for half the year and from not hiring the third officer position until recently. That, you know, some of that's, well, on the SRO, obviously, all that, not all that savings is really attributable to us because the school is, you know,
Right.
paying a good chunk of that salary. So we made an effort to determine what the apportioned savings to us are on that. We also factored in the health insurance costs they're going up a bit, but we're also going to have some savings on Ed's line for that starting January 1, so that helps. So when we factored in everything for the third officer, including salary, insurance, and pension, and all of this stuff, we figured, I think bottom line was we were estimating, oh, and the other big thing, the other big component was we had a large number in for training in case we had to provide some training for the new officer hire, which we don't need because he's experienced.
Good.
So we got about 10 grand in savings there, Ted thinks. So all taken together, we think that there's maybe 44 or 45,000 somewhere in there in this current budget of expenses that we're not going to expend, which is more than enough to cover both the increase in that SRO salary
And the
and
machine.
the fingerprint machine.
And then there's a yearly maintenance contract with that too, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all factored in. That would all
I
be.
figured into the.
So if you, the machine is 18,500.
Yeah.
The printer is 1325. Maintenance cost is 2,800.
Yeah.
And then a printer at 199, so that's like 3,000. So, you know, it's 20, I don't know.
22 something, is
It-
that? pretty
yeah.
close?
Yeah, so in coming years, of course, we won't have the hardware because we will have the machine, but we will have the maintenance.
Maintenance costs. So when you guys are working on the budget for starting next summer, that
Right.
will have to be
There'll
added into that budget.
3,000 in for the ongoing costs, but this year, and ordinarily we would look to another source to get a capital expenditure like this. As Kurt points out, if it were left over, it went into the capital, it would go into the capital
Right.
fund anyway, so
we
why
take it
not
back,
use
yeah.
it in advance?
So Bill, in the minutes, I would suggest changing the estimated savings were approximately $44,000.
Yeah, not the
73
seven.
was talked about. Well, but it was
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was,
lots of numbers. We don't remember about it, so.
It's the
Yeah.
the school, yeah.
40,
that might have been
73.
before apportioning the school, the
So-
SRO.
It was,
That's
yeah.
easy.
Okay, so
we need
is
two
there a
motions?
motion?
2 motions from that.
Let's do 2 motions, so we have it, okay.
All right, so I guess the first motion would be to approve an increase in the budgeted salary for the SRO position by $5,000 on an annualized basis.
Motion's made, is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded,
Whatever
any
gets it.
discussion?
Yeah, I think we beat this up pretty good, Mary.
Yeah.
Nice job.
I think we're good.
Okay, so, all in favor of increasing annualized 5,000 for the SRO, please say aye.
All right.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Motion number 2.
Would be to purchase the fingerprint machine and everything that goes with it.
Necessary hardware.
Necessary hardware and the maintenance contract.
Yep. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to purchase with the current budget savings. Right, okay. The fingerprint machine, the printer, and maintenance and the print on both. Discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 4-0.
For the record, should that be coming from their equipment line?
I don't,
Guess so.
Didn't come
can,
up in the meeting, but
Yeah, it was just so.
If you take it from the new equipment line, it shows a good track. That line will be overspent,
it'll be overspent.
but the
That's
total budget should be okay.
okay.
Yep.
It will be.
And I think that's what we've done for everybody else, is to keep them, because it's hard if you start taking a little chunk here and there,
Yeah.
but
Okay. Motion carries the equipment line. All right, I think that's the only thing we needed to bring to you on
So it
the,
just begs the question, do they not have their own depreciation?
what's that?
What about their depreciation?
yeah, we didn't talk about.
Well, you
that.
can talk, I would discuss, when you meet
Cruises wear
on
out.
Monday, I would talk about it Monday, because it's what
Yeah.
the town is growing. Our police is growing, highways growing, fire's growing, rec's growing, and
We're gonna have to figure out who to prioritize though, because if we try to up all those. in
we
one
may not be
year,
able to do them all in one year.
Yeah,
we don't need to.
and where did I see in highway, there needed to be a truck schedule, police cruiser needs to have a
Or, yeah,
schedule
So
too,
they,
so.
that's one of
yeah,
the things we're
those
gonna
are
be
two
working on,
things.
figure out which
Okay.
one should go. So the way we talked is the Kenworth that they bought, we're gonna get 2 years out of that truck. And then it'll be, it was a used truck to start with, but it got our foot in the door and got us going. And then look at, it's about somewhere between $180,000, $200,000 to replace a fully equipped 7-yard truck. And then we gotta figure out how long we wanna
Are we
keep them.
back into highway?
No, I'm just giving you an idea when you're talking budgets.
The highway runs on forever, Mary.
We have in the past done leases on police cruisers, so we also want to toss that into the mix. See if it's worth doing.
We'll have
again.
more information on
Yeah.
vehicle purchases.
Okay, so John Paul Faignant, Town Health Officer, Public Safety Building Clerk, and Second Constable.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
So I don't have anything in addition to what I put in that memo to you today. The good news is that the general contractor agreed to install the fire department signs for a flat $1,000. And so that would support that effort. The other thing that is being requested by the general contractor is a 50% release of the retainage. We're actually almost at the point where we're going to have to be releasing all retainage except for the final 10%. And I would expect that that's going to occur sometime in December. But right now, the project is about 90% complete. And as I reported to you, all the systems are up and running. Gas tanks are filled, heat's on, the electricity's on. So we're almost there. It's right around the corner. But in the meantime, the general is requesting that they be allowed to access 50% of the current retainage.
Okay, so this ties into when we had the fire committee meeting, we were talking about, you'll remember that there were some signs the fire department requested be installed over the 4 bays, and then the shield of the fire department and the town seal. Okay. We had a $5,700 estimate for just those signs, but then we went back to Awesome Graphics and said how much to install, and that was very close to $10,000. So
In
that
addition or total?
total, okay, so installation was like another 4,000 on top of the
4,200
57.
bucks.
Okay. So we were wondering if there were a cheaper alternative, i.e. how about the contractor that's right there and knows the material they just put up, and could they do it for cheaper? So the proposal is, and I think that's in your notes, they're willing to do the installation of the signs for an additional $1,000, but they want the retainage released to, or half of the retainage released down to 5%. Did I do that right?
No, 50%.
50%.
50%.
Okay. How much is that, by the way?
And it should be 10%.
Should be 520,000.
10%. Yeah,
think
there's
we
been
stepped over you,
10%
JP.
withheld with every submission. Oh, I'm sorry. There's been 10% retainage with every submission.
Okay.
So they be looking for how much dollar wise? About 260?
Whatever 50% of the current retention is, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the money's there, it's theirs under the contract. It's a matter of, you know, they're substantially performed on all aspects of the contract.
If anything,
We have to vote on that.
we do. So, and so I guess that would be, the first would be a proposed. I guess we should probably do it. How about a motion to authorize VMS for the sum of $1,000 to put the signs up for the fire department and for us to pay for the signs $5,700. So that's kind of a,
We have to authorize the release of retainage first for that, for them to
do
do that. but-
Okay, if you want to do it that way, it's fine with me.
JP, I mean, it sounds like that's what you're recommending. Is that correct?
It is, as is the architect.
Okay, so I'm move that we release 50% of the retainage.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion. We're not terribly at risk of anything remaining to be done. If we let
If
go
we
of,
are, we have the 250 plus the final
Yeah, they-
requisition to use this leverage. So we're very secure in that.
okay,
I'd like
Further-
to see us in that building for a while before we give them the rest,
okay,
but but I think the contract specifies when they get it, so.
it does. And the architect's okay with it too. So any further discussion? If not, all in favor of releasing 50% of the retainage, please say aye.
All right,
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Part 2, we've had a request from the fire department to install signs above the bay doors, the seal and the fire department badge at a cost for the signs of almost $5,800, 57,700, I think. 5,700 plus, and for $1,000 to have VMS install them. Is there a motion on that? Motion's been made to approve. Is there a second? Motion seconded. Discussion? If none, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, by the way,
Now-
where's the money coming from?
Yeah, I was just
so
gonna ask that.
The sign money is extra, right?
The sign money is extra because the signs that were included were not these signs.
so how much money was included?
For these
The-
particular signs, nothing in the contract.
Nothing,
There
but-
is signage provided for.
What is the signage provided for?
JP, what's the signage provided for?
So on the east elevation, the block letters Rutland Town, on the same with the west elevation. Then on the south elevation, it's going to be the Rutland Town Public Safety Building.
That's so nothing for this, all right.
Which we are doing, so we are doing all of that still, right? This is just additional
This,
stuff.
This is
this is the
just additional.
specific signs over the doors and the seal, like we did on the other station.
Where does the money come from?
So when we had that long lengthy discussion regarding what was left in the capital improvement fund,
Yes,
did we exhaust it?
no, no.
So would we be able to get the,
Pulling
roughly
this
six-
out yet again. So 179
We spent 78.
minus, but JP's got another request to spend some more.
Too bad he asked for
Minus
this one
the
first.
12,770 for the antenna for the radios and the system. And then so that's down to 100 and, come on, you're good at this, 179,600 minus 12,770.
Yeah, you're around 157,
Okay,
167.
okay, yeah, 167-ish.
Yeah.
And this will take,
Did we take any other out of that?
not yet, but there is the request for the vent for the extractor, and we've got to deal with that tonight too.
Yeah, so that'll come out of that, which is 4,800.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I saw that, 48. And then this, so we're gonna be taking another 10, so we'll be down around 155,000. So I would move, we pay for the signs out of the capital improvement fund,
okay.
based on the numbers we have. But-
So motion's been, did we vote on the first part of it to do the signs? Yeah. Can't even remember.
I
Yes,
think we
yes,
did.
we all,
Okay.
yeah, we all.
So
voted.
now the secondary motion on this is to take it out of the what we just passed out of the capital fund. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Okay, now we've dealt with the signs. JP, the vent system.
Yes,
There is a VMS change order to add gear dryer vent through the roof. And that cost is $4,850. And the estimate is on our desks. The change order amount, I guess it's more than an estimate. Is there a motion on that?
Move to approve and expend from the capital improvement fund.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pay $4,850 to VMS for this gear dryer vent and to come from the capital improvement fund. Discussion?
Taking good notes here.
The
sticky note.
No, this is stapled. I wasn't gonna mess around with sticky
Just being-
notes.
That was.
What we gotta
yeah,
put on our door?
There's no further discussion on the dryer vent. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye, let's go.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Okay.
Just
And,
approve
oh
that paper.
shoot, is this one? Does somebody want to authorize me to sign?
So move.
Second? Motion's
Sure.
made and seconded to authorize me to sign. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye,
Aye.
perfect.
Okay, it's in the green folder, Bill. Thank you. Okay. JP, what else?
I think you've covered it all. Thank you.
Oh, I know. A follow-up from the last meeting where you brought in the example of the state not being willing to enforce a landlord-tenant statute. And I asked Kevin about that because, and the minutes refresh my memory. You were going to talk to Kevin with that example. Did you have a chance to do that?
I haven't got to him yet. I plan to this week.
Okay, great. The pending motion is, do we need, and is this evidence that we do need our own separate standalone health officer ordinance in the town to be able to take care of stuff like this? So more to come. Anything else for JP?
JP, so we're gonna let you know probably in advance that if the site visit at probably Days Inn, Denny's, and maybe the car wash down there regarding the sewer problems, if you want to be invited to those.
Yes, I heard that discussion and I did ask that if I could, I'd like to be present for that.
Okay, Anything else for JP? Longer range, and I'm mentioning this while JP is on because he had something to do with it. There's question about the Sutton funds and how can they be invested separately?
Select board doesn't touch them.
Yeah, they're out of the hands of the select board.
And
So the
but the
So
fire department asked me,
So
so
if
I'm
the fire
passing
department,
along.
if the fire department wants to reinvest their Sutton funds, that's 100% up to the membership of the fire department.
yeah, it's because that's been, there was
That's considered a membership fund.
Well, I understood that it was tied up and it was for the membership and only the interest to be
so
used.
I can give you some
I
history. about
asked
the-
because it was in the town report.
So yes,
Yeah.
it has been reported in there and I'm not sure if it needs to be or not.
Uh-huh.
Somebody said yes, I disagreed with it because the fire department has that Fred Gallopo Memorial Fund, which is the fireman's money, has nothing to do with the tax, and that isn't recorded. So, but when the Suttons passed away, they gave 2/3 of this estate to the fire department, 1/3 to the cemetery. The cemetery has done a little better job at investing because there's way less committee members, so there's a whole lot less ideas. And I'm telling you, Mary, because I headed this up for, when I took over as chief, was just about the time this started. And you can't hardly get 3 guys to agree on something. Trying to get 30 or 40 of them, you might just, well, it's like herding cats. You're just not getting anywhere. But the fire department always took a very conservative approach to investing that money. They could look into doing, we had a few ideas. We had some folks that were willing to help us, but you could just never get the membership to just take that step. When Byron, was heading up the cemetery commission, he did a really good job of investing the money, and their principal amount pretty much equals what the fire department is now. And they started out with half, so I think that a good lesson learned is to talk with those folks about what they've done and transfer some of that into because if you invest, there was a while we invested it and we were doing better. And then when the market shifted and there's always been a very, very cautious approach in the firemen, very cautious.
So the cemetery invests ours to follow whatever the state's model is.
Oh,
So there's 25% in CDs and 25% in something else. And there's certain percentages and the state spells out how to invest that type of money.
Yeah. And that may be, a good, like I said, we had a few older members that got burnt really bad and lost lots of money and savings and pensions, and they carried a lot of weight within the department. So I could never get us to do anything.
Still probably need to have that in the town report, because technically it's still town money and
yeah.
that's what makes it tax exempt, so.
It's public money.
It's public information but it's just that it's not handled in the normal way the rest of the funds are. The fire department has sole discretion as to what they do with. But the will did specifically specifies that you can't spend the principal. You can spend anything you earn from the principal to do maintenance and purchase maintenance of equipment.
Yeah, and then if that interest money sits in the account too long, it's supposed to be swept back to add to the principal.
Right.
It's very,
That would make sense.
very
Yeah.
defined.
Yeah.
So the cemetery for 15-20 years never touched it. They just kept rolling it back in to build your principal, and then you get more yearly.
So that's what they have that money market
All right,
checking
well,
account for
I
that purpose.
didn't see the will. I wasn't around when it
Yeah.
was set up, so I'm
There
asking because the
should,
fire.
there, I almost think there
firemen
should
asked
be a
me.
copy here somewhere. But I don't remember.
I had it at one point in time.
I think you did.
I did have
You
it.
did.
Yeah, but anyway, that's,
All
but
right.
I would suggest that they follow or talk with Kurt and BJ, because I think they're the two running the show now.
So basically, it's not up to the select board?
Right.
Do you agree with that, JP? It's not the select board's call, it's the firefighters' call? Did we lose them?
Maybe we did.
Again, I'm asking JP because I think he had something to do with how the thing was set up initially, so
Yeah,
anyway.
Well, the will pretty specific.
it's actually very
Okay.
specific. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for your guidance, appreciate it. And that completes the JP report, Barbara
Overall-
noise polling. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks, JP.
Good
Barbara,
evening. Good
good
evening.
evening.
Just a little bit of an update on the Pocket Park. It appears as though Kevin Brown is in discussions with GMP about a quitclaim deed for the 2 parcels there on the Simons Avenue side of the river. So that looks like it's coming together, and it looks like there will be not much of a, if any, of a financial impact on the town. Is that how you read it, Mary?
Yeah, GMP did, I mean, we're taking it as is with flowage rights, and we're also agreeing to a separate, we'll have the documents in front of us to vote on it at next meeting. But we're also agreeing to a second deed, which is a utility easement, which pretty much mirrors what they already have, but they wanted to be able to keep the easement along Simons Avenue, which makes sense. And Barbara is writing a grant and made the point that if we actually owned the property at the time she submitted the grant, early December, then we would be in better position to get some grant money. So that's why we're kind of pushing. So Bill, on next meeting's agenda should include the transfer of property from GMP to the town for the Pocket Park. Hopefully we'll have documents in front of you before then.
That'd be great. Yeah, but the grant we're going after is the Forest Parks and Recs Recreational Trails Program grant. So you may recall it's up to $50,000 per grant award. I think I misspoke the last time. The match, the local match is 20%, but that can include some in-kind work, which I'm quite sure we can get quite a bit included for that. Right now I'm working on the budget and talking to some trails constructors, builders about their rates. We have quite a bit of trail linear feet built into the initial design that the Planning Commission came up with. We may want to pare that back. It's about 5,000 linear feet right now. So that's gonna add up and take most of the 50,000 right there, I think. But more later about that as I find out more information and get components of the grant together. The Planning Commission worked on its budget, so we're ready to go there. We did that at our last meeting. It's a very complicated budget the Planning Commission has. But we made it through that exercise. And that's
Anything? Okay. Anything else? Any questions for Barbara or the Planning Commission? No. Okay. Thank you very much.
okay. Thank you.
All right. Thought I saw Larry Del Veneri on earlier, but
Must have gave up.
he left. Okay. Marcia Chioffi.
I am here, Mary.
Good. Thank you, Marcia.
Sure. There's only one thing that I have to discuss this evening, and you and I kind of touched base earlier today. We are no longer going to be able to use the services of Gail Gantic from G&K. She is retiring. So what is going to happen is the Lister's office is going to have to absorb the business and personal property using the cost factors and the depreciation schedule for any of the businesses that are coming into the town of Rutland for the 25-26 tax year.
So we had a good conversation, and thank you for the heads up. So
Sure.
can you folks handle it? That's the first question.
Yes, I think we can. I think we can. I've been working with Gail since, well, I thought it was 2009, but it was actually 2011 that I started taking over the business personal property in the lister's office. And Gail and I have had a very, very good relationship. She has been more than generous in teaching me and guiding me into the assessments of property and so forth. We are going to have some problem children, as anybody has, GE being one of them, but she has assured me that she is willing to intercede and help me with any problems that we may have going forward with GE. The other accounts they're complicated, but we'll have to pay close attention to any deletions or additions of equipment, inventory, and so forth. We're taking on 255 accounts, which is going to stress our department a little bit. I'm going to be preparing Kathy to help me out with the business personal property. So we will be working from probably mid-February, which is when I send out all of my inventory forms to all of our accounts. And the crunch of the season usually begins probably mid-March through early May is when the crunch of the accounts start coming in.
So you're going to have to probably put in more time yourself.
Absolutely. Yep.
And
Shuttles funds.
yeah, and we do have some funds left over from the Gantic contract, right?
Yes, we
For
do.
this.
Yes.
So building the new budget, we'll have to address that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys will be working a few more hours for a few months.
Right. And I would also be, hoping that we would get more compensation for the time that we're putting in.
As in an hourly pay increase or just
Yes.
more hours? Oh,
Both or one or the other. Both or one or the other, Marcia.
Well, an hourly pay increase for sure.
Because you're going to be working more hours.
Yes, and when I talked to Mary this morning, we discussed how many hours I anticipate that I would be working, and it's not going to be well, probably from, like I said, from the middle. Well, February is going to be a slow month. That's when we get out all of our forms. Nothing starts coming in until March through April and into May, even though the cutoff point is April 20th. But a lot of companies don't get their declarations in until after April 20th. And we overlook that because of the circumstances. But I'm putting in, as I told Mary, I'm putting in, right now I work 32 hours a week. I anticipate that maybe for 6 weeks or so, I would be working 40, maybe 42 hours a week.
and Kathy's going to up her time as well.
Kathy is also going to up her time. She is willing to work whatever I need her to work. Right now, she's only working 10 hours a week, which is good because this is a slow time of the year. We don't have a lot going on. Grand list has already been, sent to the state. We are doing site visits because the weather has been good. We've been able to do a lot of site visits and get the information into the grand list. But other than that, like I said, we'll get the forms out in February and everything will start coming back in, early March, right through April and even into May. And, Gail has offered to, help with anything that we need, especially with GE, because GE is our problem child. And she said that she would be willing to, help us out with that.
But we need some funds in that account in there for her contract services, because we're gonna have to pay her.
No, she is not
Yeah,
requesting any pay for her services.
Yeah, well,
we might want to have just something in there for a contractor if she can do it. And she has expenses, we'll want to cover those. And if she can't, then we'll have to maybe bring in somebody for the big ones like that.
hard to find.
Well,
Yeah.
Remember
might
from our
be
discussion
expensive
last,
bringing in a professional assessor for any of the
Oh,
big
yeah.
accounts. Very much so.
5 or 6,000, 10,000.
And we will also need to
Okay.
talk about for town meeting, item on the ballot to ask voters whether we should shift from a lister form to an appraiser's department in the town. So
Correct. Yep.
talk about that.
Yep. I'm up in 2026, so I will be here until 2026, but I am not running for reelection. And I have the feeling that neither Marie nor Kathy are going to stay on after that as well. I'm not sure of that, but I just get the general feeling that they will not. So we will have to go to an assessor type of, for the grand list for taxation purposes.
More discussion to come.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for the heads up.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
And I didn't know whether you wanted any figures as to what, the business personal property, brings in. As of this year, when we finalized the business personal property, it was at $330,047,323. And with the tax rate of 21.03 cents, this is bringing you almost $695,000 in tax revenue. So
Good numbers. Yeah,
I don't
thanks.
think we can afford to lose this amount of taxation.
If you have a proposal for your pay, you should probably get that to us so we can talk about it.
Absolutely. Yep, will do, Mary. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I know. Yeah. Questions for Marcia in the Lister's office? Okay, we're done.
Okay,
That's it, unless you have
great.
something more.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mary.
thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Just so you know, and of course, you're right. The amount left after all of the deductions that we voted on tonight in the capital improvements fund is $155,222. Very good.
Made a note. We got, as I said, we were joking about every time we spend money, put a sticky note over there, so Carrie knows what we're doing.
You got a sticky note to go over?
No, but I did write some notes.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to keep track now.
I try and I usually, and sometimes she double checks me, so I'll try and remember to do a quick memo to her and email to her tomorrow saying this is what we spend to come out of the funds. Okay, Chris Clark, Town Fire Chief.
Hi, not much to report tonight. We did go over the budget. There was a couple questions on it for a few categories of, since it's a two-department building.
Right.
If the money's gonna come out of the town budget or one of our budgets, but there's no way to separate it, so. So electricity was the first one, telephone, water, sewer, heating, fuel, building maintenance.
Yeah, some of those we had already shifted partially over to the general. Yeah, let me see which ones. We had shifted over the building maintenance, the electricity, and the heating fuel, but we didn't do anything with the phones.
Phones and the water sewer.
The water sewer.
Those
Yeah.
probably should all
So
go into the general. Probably.
those probably need to go over to general.
But it's just no way to figure that out.
Yeah.
What's the internet, Billy?
That's the thing where you access information.
Oh, they hit him.
It's a good thing you're sitting way over here.
We can break it down. We do right now for the police because they pay a portion of the charge for this building. So it is possible to do that.
That one we may want to
We do get a bill. We do get bills by lines, by numbers. So, and with West Rutland taking over the fire district over here, which is what the fire station is connected to, the sewer bill is going to be $440 a year. That's it.
So center station, we have no problems. Fuel, electricity, all of the things Chris just mentioned, he'll have that in the budget for one
Right.
station. The new building will just be separate.
Yeah.
So you will have to have some in your budget, Chris, for center, but the public safety building would probably come out of the general. That's our plan.
So the new bill cycle for consolidated started today. And there's proration in there because the new building is now online with these things. So there's a proration on there. So December 19th or 20th is when the next bill comes out. That will be the one that will be a little more accurate for who pays for, or how much each department pays for. So we want to leave those blank for a little bit. We can fill
So
those
does
in.
that separate internet and phone?
It does, yeah. I mean, the bills are 60 pages long, so.
60.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe it's every department in town comes on one bill, so.
So you could figure out what Chris would need for his portion of.
That happens right now in the clerk's office. So they divide out the police for here, so it's just it's just moving that over there, so, yeah.
So I'm just wondering if he should still worry about phone and internet for his portion of the public safety building.
So we have like one internet bill for this building and we split it with the police. So like, if you want to discuss that or just want to put it in the general and move internet and phone off of theirs.
To me, it'd be easier to just put it all under general and just.
Every department has an internet bill and a phone bill, so.
Yeah, because the rec has it now.
Yeah.
So I think that's an answer to your question, Chris. We should move those over to general. The water sewer. The phone, what was the other thing? Electricity?
Electricity, yeah, there's. Yeah.
Are we gonna move the phone and the internet? We'll have to pull it out of the police budget too.
Well, if those are easier to separate. According to Bill, they can, though the phone and the internet could be separated, so.
The public safety building right now, they've created, there is one account for that building.
Okay,
Because that's how they bill it. Like they can't bill it for half of the building.
Right.
So
okay,
it's- we receive a bill per building.
But you know what the lines are.
Yes.
So we can split it up, just like the police gets split up now.
And
Right.
once the proration thing gets sorted out.
So you can
should
figure it
be
out.
consistent.
Yeah, the fuel, the electricity and the building maintenance are almost impossible to do.
Yeah.
But the internet, it sounds like the internet and phone can be. So Chris can put that in for center and his portion of McKinley, whereas the same with the police budget, they'll have in there for their internet and phone.
and water sewer.
The water and sewer will be ours
general.
for that building. Center's building will be fires
Okay,
because they're two separate buildings. Yep, that works out.
okay,
That helpful, Christopher?
Extremely. Yep.
good, okay.
Would you want me to create like a municipal water and sewer line addition to the
Yes.
general budget to? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so there'd be probably, and you do whatever, but I would think in that, like, we have the section for the planning commission, a section for whatever, and we'll have a PSB section now.
We have 3 lines for it, so.
Yeah, so we'll have a PSB section. Perfect.
Okay,
We keep growing. Gonna need more pages.
Do you want a public safety building like utilities, like so electricity and water and sewer just under one line rather than trying to separate it out? I mean, is there value in separating out the water and sewer bill and electricity bill?
I think there is, at least for a while.
Okay.
So we can see how that,
Easier to track for at least a year or two if it's
Yeah.
separated out. That way we can see where
I
we're
think that's
at.
the same format we use for everything else, right? Everybody else has them separate. There's nobody has just utilities. They always have everything separate.
as you heard, we approved the signs for your truck bays and the shield and the town seal. And also we approved $1,000 for VMS to install them, and that's all coming out of the capital fund, not your budget.
All right, I'll order those tomorrow morning.
Okay,
And we are not asking for any money on the depreciation fund this year. Couple reasons. One's because we asked for a lot for the building. And two, rumor has it that if I wasn't building $700,000 fire trucks, I'd have plenty of money for quite a few years for the next fire trucks. So this year, we're not asking for a nickel for those two reasons.
okay.
So that's all I got.
No request for an increase. You're still gonna get your usual,
Yeah,
yeah.
So, Mary, this is maybe a little bit of a detour, but was there something there that we just separated out that we don't have in our police budget?
Water sewer?
But I thought that was going on general. So for example, like we have communication on here, but that was like. for
there's
radios,
nothing in the
not-
police budget now
Not
for,
phone, you know.
There's nothing in it for water sewer. There is for communication.
Is communication
where that,
radio license?
yeah, we're just looking at the police budget, Chris, because we're talking about them paying for their portion of the internet and phone, but there's no line items unless communication covers them. Do you know where it
I
comes
don't
out
think
now,
it
Bill?
does.
When,
I think it's the radios.
probably out of the communication
Well,
line.
that could be equipment.
Well, we'll need to figure that out.
Radios.
Okay. Yeah, so it looks like we need a little more information on that.
They're paying it, but we don't know where they're getting it from. Great.
Okay, anything else for our town fire chief? Did I have? Did that. Okay, anything else for us, Chris?
No, that's it.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
You.
Next, Carrie Clark, Town Clerk and Treasurer. Good evening.
Good evening. I have a little bit of a list to go over. Hopefully it's all quick. First, there's a few things on your desk in front of you. The first thing, actually there's two things, Mary, I need from you on your desk. One is the audit letter for the single audit. And Andrew and I met yesterday and he needs that signed. So if you could go ahead and sign that and I can send the copy to him.
Okay,
That'd be
well, I
great.
will if the select board authorizes me. This is for the single audit. This is in additional to our usual audit, and this is required because
Of the
we
grant.
receive federal funds in excess of whatever their trigger amount was.
What
And the
equivalent is it?
estimated cost, it
Is this
was,
the engagement letter or?
this is not our
Yes.
usual engagement letter. This is the alternative compliance examination engagement letter. And where's the number? I did see it earlier. Oh. We estimate that our fees for these services will range from $5,000 to $10,000. So
So
it's not
Yeah,
as
authorize
much
Mary-
as we feared.
authorize Mary to sign the single audit agreement with AM Place.
And agree to.
The sum of 5 to 10,000.
All right, is there a second? Motion's made and seconded to approve the AM Pike single audit bid letter and to authorize me to sign. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Am I the management signature, Carrie?
I always get confused on that, so I think so.
I think I am.
Is there another choice?
Governance, governance and
us.
management. Okay,
You might be
I
governance.
think we're governance, she's management.
Man-
Okay.
She's
treasurer.
all
management.
right.
You always add your title after your name, so it's clear.
Well, they did have a title place, so I'm doing that. Okay, that's in Bill's folder, Carrie.
Okay.
Okay, what else?
The other thing that I need from you is Ted and I were talking and he is in need of the signed board meeting minutes from September 24th, where it was discussed and approved for the police having a new plan starting next fiscal year on their, I think it's the retirement. They discussed the Plan D with you guys, and we cannot seem to, those are the minutes that are somehow missing in our pile of all the minutes. He needs those to send to the company that is requesting them. We were
Okay.
talking and wondering if you could re-sign those meeting minutes, and then I'll give a copy to him and then file them with the rest of our meeting minutes in the office.
Already done. We circulated them first thing and they're in the green folder too. So thanks for
Great.
catching that.
I will let him know. He really appreciates that. He was kind of wondering what to do, so I'll let him know tomorrow. And
Good.
then let's see. There is, well, quickly, there's the lot money, the local options money that came in. We've had 2 installments since, I think one was in August and then one in November. And I gave you the current amounts, and then stapled to your chart is the amounts at the same time as last year. Both amounts this year have come in under what we received last year for the same time frame. We're still on track, but I just wanted to give you a comparison.
Yes, that was really helpful. Thank you. We were projecting a total of 1,300,000 And we are well on track to make that amount and then some, but it's not the big surplus that we had last year.
Yeah,
But if you look at what we asked for last year, it's kind of like almost, we'll be close.
Okay.
If I looked at it right.
Okay, any questions of the local option tax? Okay.
and then
Um,
the just quickly, the election for the general election went well. It was about 78% of our voters participated on average, and that's kind of what the state saw on average, was in the 70 range for participation. So that's good. It went pretty smoothly. So again, I did send out a thank you to everybody that participated. For the staff, I did have some extra staff available as well, and I extend my gratitude to them as well. So hopefully when we go into March, we'll see just as many voters out there voting for our town budget. So that would be nice.
well, maybe.
Yeah. And then speaking of budgets, Bill and I were talking, and I know one of your items on the agenda was to discuss a potential pre-town meeting date. I know the school was wondering, and I looked at my calendar as far as the deadlines that I need to meet in January for our ballot and petitions and such like that. So I suggested maybe Tuesday, the 21st of January to do it. It on my calendar, going by every other week, I do not believe that we have a select board meeting on that week. However, I think it needs to kind of look, Bill, I just want to let you know that on the agenda that you have at the bottom, either you or I are incorrect, but I think that January 7th and the 21st on the bottom might not be right.
Yes. Yeah.
They're the 14th and 28th.
So
I just looked up too.
okay. I just
Okay,
wanted to
and then
make
we
sure
have that.
21st wasn't
Yes.
conflicting with one
20.
of those. So that was my suggestion, but you guys can come up with a date if you need to that's different.
And that
When
fits
is
all
your
of your
deadline?
timelines. Okay.
It should follow the timelines. Okay. It's in between two deadlines. And the only thing that it's really contingent upon is when we have to get the town report submitted, because in the town report needs to be the warning. So it needs to be all kind of tidied up by then. So, but we don't have that deadline yet. So
You don't know when the town report is due at the printers?
no.
Next week.
Next week or the week after. I've already been talking with her, so
Okay.
they're putting their timeline together. So
The 21st, it's in between meetings.
Yeah,
so we've done it in the past. We've done a board meeting
right
there,
after.
and that gets you all out of this room for 3 weeks. So I
Right,
have time to put that report together in this room.
right.
If we did it the 28th, is that too late for Carrie?
I don't.
Is the 28th too late for you, Carrie?
Well, I don't think it's too late for me, but I'm wondering if it's too late for the town report deadline.
By the next board meeting, I should have that time.
So we can wait.
Yeah, we can wait. If the school is wondering, we're talking about the 21st, but we haven't made a decision yet because we need to find out about the town report printing.
He's trying to evict
21st.
us for 3 weeks, is what he's trying to do.
I know, I got that.
So you don't want to do this one? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not crazy about the 28th. It just feels too late for me. I'd prefer the 21st, but let's find out what the town report deadline is. That's really what governs it at
Yeah.
this point.
We have to,
Okay, Bill, just keep it on the agenda for
Oh, yeah.
next time.
because don't we have to, that's the night we finalize everything.
We
and
do. We
We
meet
have to sign
after.
all those orders after,
Right.
but we don't need a meeting to do that. long as we're there.
as long as we vote on it.
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that has to be warned as a, because we're taking board action.
Oh, we usually do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's right.
Actually,
We
that's
usually
right.
do-
We usually have a meeting right before we recess.
Yes.
We
Right.
go into the pre-town
That's why the
meeting, we come
28th
back
is
out,
our
and then we
regular
go in.
meeting.
Okay, so we will need to warn that if that's what we end
If
up
we do the
doing.
21st, we'll just, that'll be
By
a
the
special.
next meeting, we should have.
We should know all of that.
Okay, and then we can set that.
Okay. Carrie also provided for budgeting purposes, the premium increase for our health insurance. And that takes effect. It's about an 18% increase. That takes effect January 1st of 2025. So that's like,
2 months, a month and a half away.
right. Am I correct that those figures all kick in beginning January 1st?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's sad, but it's
Yeah.
something that we're all dealing with, so.
Yeah.
The increase is incredible.
Yep. So just keep that in mind when I did quick calculation. Check my math, folks, but that's why I had Carrie include, thank you very much, the two last year's premium sheet and this year's premium sheet. And it looks like an 18%. And don't forget, as I mentioned before, the payroll, our share, or our total pickup of the payroll for childcare costs, the new tax that's coming through. Okay, anything else, Carrie?
Yeah, along those lines is one last thing. I know that Bill sent an email out earlier, about a little bit ago, maybe a month or so ago. VLCT is pushing it's called WISE benefits, and it's a supplemental option for our employees for 3 items. I think we can pick and choose. But I wanted to mention it tonight because I got a phone call from VLCT recently asking if we had any interest, if anyone wanted to sign up for these extra benefits at the cost of the employee. At the time, I said I hadn't had anybody interested in it. I'm not even sure if everybody read that particular email. So the open enrollment deadline is this Friday. And I wanted to mention it again. I know it's really soon as far as a deadline, but I was looking closer into it just because I had a little extra time instead of the elections on our mind all the time. And it's kind of interesting, and I'll just put it out there. It's small premiums based on what you as an employee would want to sign up for, if anything. And it's by month, obviously, but there are 3 things that it offers. It offers critical illness insurance, accidental, and a life insurance plan. And if you wanted to know a little bit more about it, I do have the link again. I could send out for the information. I think there's only one open enrollment per year on these things. But if we are interested in something like this and maybe it's too soon, like it's too late for the deadline, maybe we look into it for next year. I know that as we all know, life just creeps up on you and things unexpected happen to anyone at any time. And this critical illness thing really got my attention. In particular, I'd like to learn a little bit more about exactly what it covers. Does go into a little bit of what like percentage it covers for, like say cancer or a heart attack, or I'm looking at one of them, major burns or paralysis, Alzheimer's disease. It talks about that, and I just think it would be I think it would be worth it to understand more for our employees. Like I said, life is unexpected. So if they're offering something like that at a small cost, I don't know, maybe it's something we look into. But
Do we, in order for employees to sign up to, does the select board need to do anything?
I don't think so. They said to have an employee fill out the form, and I don't exactly know all the particulars as far as they probably bill us, and then we make sure to take it out of employees' paychecks, and then therefore pay the bill. I'm not sure how that works. I mean, we could try to find out a little bit more, but I don't know. I just wanted other people to hear that this is available and that I'm offering it from VLCT, so that if someone finds out that, hey, she never said anything, I wanted to say something because it sounds good.
Yeah,
I
okay,
would
well,
suggest sending out an email if you haven't, Chris, but if it's Friday,
Yeah.
people have a lot now, but it does sound like something they should probably, I mean, maybe VLCT would send somebody in to talk to people about it sometime too.
I think that they did have that option for companies that were interested in it. I think we're kind of late in thinking about it, and I personally apologize for that. I mean, we were quite inundated with elections. We did send it out once, but that probably wasn't enough. But maybe it's something we can look into for next year.
well, thanks for
Okay.
bringing it to everyone's attention.
Yeah, I
Appreciate
can
it.
send this back out tomorrow to everyone, and you guys can take a look at it again, just see what you think.
Okay. Anything else for our town clerk and treasurer? No, if not, thank you very much, Carrie.
You're
Have a good
welcome.
evening.
You too.
Thank you. Okay, Mike Delahanty, is he on? Right. And Bill Sweet, town administrator.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ed just messaged me asking if the meeting's still going, so maybe he may be trying to join in a little bit. I don't know. So
Shelley's thing came up there at one point.
well, yeah, Shelley did, but she usually comes on when she tries to time around him. But yeah, so he may be coming. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Good evening. Not a lot left to go over, which is pretty well. As I mentioned before, the phones and the internet are up and running at the new building. The phones aren't installed yet because there's no desks, there's no counters, there's nothing to put them on. But we have extensions, we have phone numbers, and I'm going to be giving everybody that has a phone a sheet to go over, because on each of our phones we can pick who we want our direct extensions to be. Like you can pick like the highway office, you can things like that, so that they'll be able to pick that and set up each phone individually. So that'll make things a little bit easier for everybody. And I have a meeting tomorrow with Consolidated to talk about the billing to make sure we're all set, and that I should be able to get I'm going to try and get some information on the real monthly recurring charges, and we can work on that. So I want to try and get those budget sheets filled in as much as I can. I know that was a topic that's come up a couple of times, so I've already got that planned. I got an email today from Stantec about the service road, asking if we are going to be having any plans for that in this coming year, if they need to do anything to prepare for that. And I said, the board's meeting, I'll let you know. So they're wondering if we're going to do anything with the service road construction that they want to be involved with.
Well, I'd like to build it 3 years ago, 4 years ago,
know.
but
That's where we were headed,
I
but
think we need to probably, we have the information, they finished up what we asked them, so
Yes.
the next step, I'm not sure where the next step is it to come up with a cost estimate? or-
Yeah,
I think so.
cost estimate, and then
And then
bid it.
if we want to put it out to bid, or how we could pay for it.
Yeah.
Their cost estimates weren't too bad, but it would require another bond or something of that nature, and so we've got one, and we got a pool coming, so I don't know.
Yeah. No.
And I don't know if there's any pots of money out there available for some of this reconstruction. I think I'm gonna ask Robert that Thursday, because he
Okay,
might know.
okay,
That'll
that'd be
one of the
good.
things I'm gonna ask him.
Yeah.
Lots of money. And, you know, new administration coming in, there might be more. Or there might be a different set of pots, so who knows? Previous Republican administrations have done things like revenue sharing. Remember that? Block grants going way back. Yeah, okay.
So what we talked about more on Thursday, but they were interested, so I wanted to mention it. And reminder, the building or town hall will be closed next week, Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving. And one thing that we did kind of touch on it earlier, and you know, with the budget discussions, the 5-year plans have kind of
Oh, yeah.
fallen away a little bit. So I don't, you know, it's kind of been, it's been one of those things that's been on the committee agenda list I send out every Monday, but it doesn't really ever really come up, which is fine. But I think with all the discussion about the depreciation accounts, and you know, I think we probably need to get a better handle on where we are, where we want to go, to know what we need to do to get there. So, you know, whether we want to kind of come up with whether leave it to department head to come up with their own, or if we want to say, like, you know, we want to kind of come up with you know, what do you have, what it's going to cost, and if we want to have something consistent between all the departments.
Well, starting with those who are requesting an increase in the depreciation fund, it occurs to me that they probably already have some kind of an equipment, or they have something that they can update, because that would be the basis for why they're asking for an increase. I frankly think everybody should have it, and we should look at it once a year anyway, but you know, we haven't done it for police cruisers, as I was mentioning earlier. We have one for fire equipment. And highway has something, but yeah.
Yeah, the highway's expanded really fast. in the
Changed
last
a lot.
4 or
Yeah.
5 years, so, you know, and with this, it's on our agenda, it'll be on our agenda. I think, like I said, we'll be here for a while on Thursday, but
Okay,
we'll get through the budgets. You know, I imagine Dave might have some time to get that work done and get us some preliminary numbers. And
this building in particular.
Yeah.
I know we got the estimate of the renovations downstairs. So what is there for the general budget? Is there some parts of it you want to start on and stick in the budget, or? You know,
we've done some, but I think the next steps are gonna get expensive.
It's
Yeah.
looking at like the scope, it's really going to be difficult to try, and it's not like we can't like do the kitchen, like it's just not.
Once you're in there, I think we're gonna be
Yeah.
in there. I think the consensus of the plan was that we would be able to fund a portion is through our capital improvement, but we need to get kind of the dust settled on that and see where that is, and then figure out, you know, because it's going to be expensive. They may be able to do a portion of it, but we got to get some kind of a breakdown.
Okay.
We got the electrical portion done, and
Yep.
some of the stuff moved, so that was done, and then we got to decide how much we want to put into that building maintenance for next year and what we can do. But I think once you start
Yeah. it's-
renovating that area, that's going to be the office space and bathrooms, that in the kitchen area, that's going to be,
It's all one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. and I don't know if they could do that and then do the meeting room side. They may be able to do it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So we'll have to.
We didn't
get
really,
ready.
that approach didn't really come up in the discussions at all, because that really wasn't the plan. So
We may need to try to get a meeting with Ed before we finalize the budget. I don't know. December meeting.
Or we just say, let it ride.
Well, just, you know, if there's something, I don't think we can, you know, we might need like, well, I don't know what the cost, there was a cost estimate.
Oh, yeah.
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 Was
Like 650.
650?
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah. I know.
it's a big project. It
Right.
really is a big
Well,
project. so.
considering how much we've done with just sticking something extra in the budget every year
Yeah.
to get this floor in
We
good
got, we got
shape
this
and-
floor done. The bottom is gonna be the
Yeah.
expensive part.
Yeah. Okay.
So my thought with 5-year plans, I mean, I do have one that I keep up with for this building,
Okay.
but the other departments are just kind of, we just have, it hasn't really come up in great detail lately, so. But this time of year usually kind of starts to come around again to know what we need, so. But yeah, I mean, there hasn't been a lot of discussion about the depreciation, and you know, that's why I got the history and all the, your binders have all the history in there for everything, so that way we
Yeah,
know.
that's good.
And it was interesting to look at the language, and the language is
All over
varies.
the place.
Yeah.
We need to get a more unified language.
Yeah.
I think that was everything I had on my list.
We have item number 2, same sons.
Oh, yes. That was just, they sent us their notice. Same Son of Vermont is moving forward on a proposed solar array off of US 4 East. It's currently owned by the Abatels. It's a pretty sizable parcel. Looks like Coughlin Incorporated is in the process of acquiring the property and installing the solar array. It's going to be on the hill, kind of overlooking Home Depot to the east of that. So there's a very small little right of way to get to Route 4 East, access the whole place.
Right, did the planning commission get?
Yes. Yeah.
And are they asking for anything?
Nothing yet.
Okay.
They're saying they are not aware of any Act 250 permits impacting the property. But they are going to, they do require approval from the Public Utility Commission and via a certificate of public good. So they are going through that process. So they said they're gonna be filing for that in approximately 45 days.
Right, this is our 45-day notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. There's a couple things like they said they're gonna be putting the power to Woodstock Avenue, which I doubt. It's probably Route 4 East and they've got the road name wrong, but other than that, it's pretty close.
Maybe they don't know where they're building it.
No.
But it's pretty good size project. It looks like it will be visible from Route 4.
Yeah.
And it was, 1,200 modules.
How big are the ones down on Cold River Road? Do we know?
Which set?
I can't
No
remember.
one's the old.
Set. Yeah. Just trying to get an idea of the size.
Well, it says 11 to 12 feet tall.
500 kilowatts is not really that much. That other one is can't remember the new one, that 30 acres is a 1 or 2 megawatt.
Yeah,
That's a big site. The other site, I don't know how big that is either.
So planning commission has it. If they have any recommends, they'll tell us.
Yes.
Put this in the green folder. Okay.
Looks like pretty much.
Okay. We've
1,200 of them.
We've done all of our committee meetings. We've
Yeah.
met with Cedar. We've discussed pre-town meeting dates, and we'll get back to that next meeting. JP's going to follow up with Kevin Brown on the local health ordinance, but we need to keep that on the agenda. Carrie brought up the changes in the employee benefit costs and provided us with information so we can budget. Any other new items?
We had the public meeting right before this meeting for the Route 7 sidewalk. It went very well. The
Yeah.
people were,
Everybody that was here is in favor of this.
Yeah,
There
was
was
great.
no opponents.
Not at all.
I kind of was hoping that Paul would come in, Gallo, because he's gonna be impacted.
Yeah.
And, but I didn't see him and the folks from the appliance store.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are gonna be impacted.
But we are gonna have a meeting just specifically for
For
those,
folks,
for those folks right in that area. So,
The
yeah.
people who bought Mr. Twitter's,
Gallows.
were they in here?
Oh, that's the Gallows.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know he bought that.
Yeah, all about that.
Okay.
So the thing with this sidewalk, and that came up tonight, the state right of way is 99 feet up through there. So a good portion of this will be within that state right of way. There may be some that's on private land, and that's what we'll need the easement. So part of the stuff that they're doing now with the survey is to see where the right of way is, because we all know that the roads are not always centered in the right of way. So I'm hoping this road is centered to the east of the right of way, which means we'll have more land on the west side. But we won't know, but that's what the survey, part of the survey is to see where this can be done. And the other thing that came up is the transition between this new sidewalk multi-use path and what the city has done.
Okay.
So the city, their bike path starts somewhere in the neighborhood of Paul's Cleaners.
Okay.
Or a little bit further south.
Just over that crest,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a little bit further, maybe right on that borderline with the
Right, the little mini plaza there.
yeah,
That's pretty much where it
right,
starts.
or somewhere in that area. And this ends at Comcast driveway. So there's gonna be a portion in there. So what we've requested Santac to do is look at the proposal to extend the left turn lane where it is through the city, and that stays until McKinley Avenue. So that will be one lane of traffic. And then the left turn lane will end about McKinley, and that will allow the bike path to run parallel to the shared use path. And then it'll be easier to transition. And this will have two benefits to the town. Number one, it's going to continue to decrease speeds from about Max Steel to East Pittsford Road. If JP was on there, he would confirm what I'm going to tell you, is that he has stopped cars in excess of 60 miles an hour because they're frustrated driving through the
it's-
city, and then they explode out of there. One of the participants of the meeting tonight was Josh Josh from Max Steel, and he said they deal with it on a daily. He said you cannot believe how much the speed has increased in front of their property since the change in traffic, because people have to drive 35 miles an hour for the most part. And as soon as that goes to 2-lane, they just take off. But JP has told me the highest he stopped one is at 63 going by Post Road or McKinley Avenue. So this is one of the things, something I didn't bring up when Dave was on earlier, and we discussed out front here, petitioning the state to extend the left turn lane from where it ends in the city to the trestle. So we need to talk to, I think it's Teresa Gilman from the state,
Yeah.
and look into this and get this road. So the left, because in my opinion, having a left turn lane out front here would be beneficial to a lot of things. The
Gosh,
road
that'd be-
appears to be, so when we had the state people on last Thursday, when we had a preliminary meeting for tonight's meeting, I asked them about that. And so they brought it right up, and he was showing, and it appears the road is the same width, that we could get this, so you would keep that consistent left turn lane to get down to the East Proctor Road. Because there's enough businesses
Yes.
and residents here where it would
There
be
are
beneficial.
people crossing.
And there are
Even-
people
Even
crossing.
where there are not crosswalks.
Oh, yeah. This
So-
crosswalk gets a lot of use.
Yeah,
And
so,
it's,
so if we could get,
pedestrians they don't pay attention to pedestrians, but gets a lot of use.
Yeah.
so if we could get that left turn lane through the front here, it would narrow up the breakdown lane, but, and it's, so I think that we should move forward with that. I don't know exactly, wasn't it Teresa Gilman that we needed to talk to?
It was Teresa, there's that new guy that started, that we've been talking with. We talked about Simon's Ave and a couple other projects. Was it Chris?
Is that something you want one of us to do, Bill, or do you want to contact him and have him contact one of us? I wrote that down here somewhere, but I don't see it now.
We can reach out to him. We if we want to talk, we started the conversation about Simon's Ave. We kind of haven't gone anywhere with that either. So maybe we can
Yeah,
kind of loop back.
I just think that, we can get this.
Fine.
We missed the boat when the state repaved
Yeah.
to ask them to,
Well, we got other things though.
no, but yeah, I know, but we didn't get everything, but
Yeah.
we missed the boat, and so they paved it and left the lines right the same. We missed the boat when the city did it, because that is the US highway
Mhm.
maintained. I know the city must do it under contract. So I'm thinking, well, we're always chasing our tail, but it would just be, I think it'd be a lot easier. Anyway, a couple of things that came up. There.
Okay, good.
Your turn.
I'm all done.
You don't want to leave?
Oh, yeah,
It's your
yeah.
turn.
Anything, let's see, we've been through everything on our list. Anything new? I think that was one of them. And we've talked about the committee meetings. I don't think we need to do anything in executive session. We may, if we have the documents for the land transfer from GMP to us, we may for the next meeting, but anyway, there's that.
Move to adjourn.
I like that.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you very much.
You listen well.